Hello, you guys. Welcome, welcome, all of you. Hello, Pat. Hi, Lori. Hi, Kim. Hi, Grounded for Truth. Hi, Ann Hummingbird. I love hummingbirds. We have a hummingbird feeder right outside our balcony. They're so cute. Hi, Joe. And hello to all of you. Thank you so much for joining us today as we continue to hold space for very difficult conversations, as we continue to ask questions and also demand answers that make a shred of sense. And all of you standing up with us and letting us know that it is okay to ask questions. I mean, all of us kids who grew up in Scientology didn't grow up with any First Amendment right. So let's make sure that that is really understood for the very people in the back that have been living under L. Ron Hubbard's spell and under the spell of all of his minion proteges that have been given plenty of time, you guys. It's this year 2024, and his minions and his proteges have been given plenty time to reconciliate with the facts. And imagine that no matter how easy it would be for them to reconcile the facts, it would only have them, go to therapy, spend some time self-reflecting, and spend some time doing due diligence and actually doing the work, not just by claiming awards, not just by, what Scientology truly taught all of his corrupt, disgusting minions was become famous. Influence and fame is the true OT power that these hotels sell. And y'all can see the proof is in the pudding, as if Elizabeth Moss, Lizzie Wizzy, wasn't there with Jimmy Kimmel laughing it up last night, laughing it up with her white woman privilege that she did have for herself, you guys. She was another one of these kids that grew up in Scientology, but, she grew up in a nice little Laurel Canyon home. And, she was treated really well, like a little princess Wincess. And she was told she was very special her whole life. She couldn't be inconvenienced under any circumstance. She was, taken to all manner of ballet classes, and, she was living her life. And you know what? Good for her. Good for her that she did not have a life where she had to live in a roach-infested motel. So, fame and power and minionship is what L. Ron Hubbard taught to his minions. Become real famous, you guys. Become a big influencer. Look at me, L. Ron Hubbard. Set up all these people that are going to idolize you, that are going to go, oh my God, here comes my idol. Let me really hold my breath. So what would you like me to say now, sir? What would you like me to do now, sir? Because you're so special. Oh my God, you're so special. You're so magical. My God, whatever you say, I'm going to take at full face value. Well, imagine that we are in this year 2024 with all of you guys in our communities actually experiencing diversity of opinion, you guys. We were grew up in these insulated environments where we didn't stand a chance as kids. We didn't have any William Goads in our corner telling us, no, you see something wrong, stand up for it and scream. And you can scream from a sidewalk. And yeah, that's the only right you have. We didn't have those type of people setting that example for us. So we've come a long ways by just being shown that there were American rights that were denied by these courts of the United States and by the IRS. The IRS commissioner, who Mike Rinder, David Miscavige, and Marty Rathbun did plot, scheme, and scammed, did write all manner of fake, quick pitches. Oh, we really want to save the world, IRS. They did go to get a lot of consulting from a lot of high, prominent attorneys of these United States, including those that went to George Washington University. Shout out to you, George Washington University. That gave us William E. Mangle and attorney Monique Yingling. Blinkety blink, Monique Yingling. Her body language is literally out of control, Monique. You should go and do some TRs. Tell Dave to have you do some TRs to see if you stop blinking and shifting and, you know, trying to really win America over with your granola look. Because apparently granola look is all it takes for people to fall under the spell of everyone is here in good faith, making good faith statements and arguments, and innocent until proven guilty. Well, that's great. Innocent until proven guilty, but you know, if anybody bothers to do a shred of due diligence, if anybody bothers to read what L. Ron Hubbard wrote on a piece of paper, because we did do our due diligence, those of us that are kids that grew up in Scientology. We did spend the hours and hours and hours and weeks and months and years. I mean, our entire formative years, you guys, were wasted inside of these hotels, studying, doing the due diligence, doing the heavy lifting, pouring through the materials of a convicted, indicted felon. So when we are literally today confronting aspects of this narrative that has been what? Whitewashed. And all for the benefit of who is who you all need to really start asking yourselves. Who benefits when the rhetoric of a convicted, indicted felon gets pitched as, oh yeah, he's an American-bred god, you guys. The literal man who Charles Manson was influenced by to, you know, corrupt his own minions is a god in America. I mean, let that fully sink in. Let that fully sink in, America. Because you are having a crisis of pitches. You're having a crisis of pitches purporting that, yes, America is all about law and order, you guys. How much millions and millions and billions poured through American courts on a yearly basis? Because you know what? Y'all could do a little bit of research. You know, applying the law and getting it executed, not a cheap business. You know, it's not a pro bono. It's not a volunteer business. It's a money. Make that money, and then we'll see if you get some justice. Give us some money. So with all that money, with all that power, with all that influence, the American courts are right now, as of this year, 2024, fully sitting there with a full-blown straight face, right? Supreme Courts of America saying, yep, a convicted felon that's fully indicted and running around on a ship is what America really thinks is a born God that was born in Nebraska, Oklahoma, or wherever in the hell that disgusting, pathetic man was born. So here we are again. I mean, we have to like literally scrap everything we ever want to speak about, you guys, because every day is a new day, not to be in a disgusting cult, but also every day, you know, the truth corroborates itself, and these people cannot help themselves but to tell on themselves. And I think that it's what is giving us today. They are very pressed to, you know, throw a little tide at things, spin, 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 and then oops, everyone's going to really fall for our spin. And it did work back in the L. Ron Hubbard days, you guys. And that's why their brains are literally having conniption fits as we speak, because they're going, oh my God, this used to work so well when the kids were kids and we were telling them they were adults. It used to work so well, you guys. You have no idea the effectiveness. And believe you me, they weren't calling us fleas. Imagine that as kids stuck in those hotels, fleas. You think they would really call us fleas if they really wanted to get their point across? Those hotels ran on the F word. You're an effing degraded being. Get your effing ethics in. So, you know, they go, well, we're being so nice now. We're not using the F word. We're just using attorneys that type whatever in the hell we tell them to type. Right, Mike Rinder? Did you have Monique just typing whatever in the hell you told her? As you now have Ford Green type this thing about the dogs and the fleas, and I think that's really going to make everyone real scared of us. And, you know, no one should really be insulted of being dehumanized. That's what in the hell is called. When you don't have the facts on your side and you just hurl some disgusting, nauseating insult at anybody who dares ask y'all any questions. So, in what world are you not allowed to ask questions? In what world are you not helping victims? I mean, it's a 501c scheme from hell. And it's like the pattern continues, right? Because it wasn't enough to do it and get away with it when they were doing it inside of hotels and commercial buildings. They did come out and they did literally take over the full foundation that really is there to supposedly go help who? Who is getting helped? Are you guys helping yourselves, Claire and Mike Rinder? Or who are you actually helping? Because when you were all inside the hotels, you were helping yourselves. You were helping yourselves to power. You were helping yourselves to corruption. You were helping yourselves to the fact that no person had a shred of eyeballs inside of those hotels to see what you were doing, because we had no way to have anyone inside of those hotels, anyone that is in our communities today, standing up for us, the fleas at the bottom of the barrel, the peons that we were. So yeah, our communities are standing behind us, and all manner of people are being able to watch and see, and they don't have to fall in line just because y'all tell them. Literally, no one cares what you say. Nobody has, everyone is an adult. I mean, in what world do y'all think that everyone in our communities is also a kid stuck in an adult body? Y'all infantilize yourselves because L. Ron Hubbard told you to go play a game. Oh yeah, let's go play a game, you guys. Let's all be adults and then play this game where all kids become adults. And that's what it's called. Infantile AF. Deranged adults that are cradled and canoodled by the IRS, that are cradled and canoodled by the American courts, who are just so recklessly ignorant under the guise that a convicted, indicted felon writes on a piece of paper, lock up a child against his will as long as you want, have at it. And these American courts say that that's a religious situationship based on whatever Mikey Rinder, Davey Wavy Miscavige, and Marty Ragburn said to write. And oh, yeah, L. Ron Hubbard let him out of the grave, you guys, because imagine what would happen to the whole wide world if his technology is what? Confronted on its face for what it is? I mean, please, 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 Mike Rinder and Ford Green and Claire Headley advise. Make it make sense. Because y'all, every time you open your mouth and you don't make a shred of sense, today, you are going to get pushback. That's all it's called. Y'all can play the victim real well, and we are very aware of that little modus operandi that you did use to have the courts of America side with you. Imagine, you guys. Oh my God, you guys, we really want to get this religion going for ourselves because we are so discriminated. We want to do whatever in the hell we want inside of those hotels. And y'all want to tell us that we're out of our mind. So it's hard. It's hard to speak on these things, you guys, because it's never easy to see the level of corruption that all of us fleas are up against. There is no end in sight, apparently. There is no reining anything back. And there is no one standing up for kids that are stuck inside of the hotels. A narrative that, yes, really ask yourselves, why in the literal hell has the corporate media, the grifting, disgusting, corrupt media, the Tampa Bay Times? Oh yeah, let's go to Mike Rinder, you guys. Let's really get the story from him. Let's really pitch you as a victim, Mikey. Let's really do that. Let's really type and type and type whatever in the hell you tell us was happening to you and you and you and you. Imagine all the leadership of this disgusting hotels are already on the record telling the Tampa Bay Times with a full-blown straight face that they were stuck in double wide trailers. The leadership, the executives who our parents left us with. The executives that our parents said, you know what would be a great idea? Let me sign off my kid real quick here, cash some checks for myself, and then, you know, all of a sudden I don't have to pay schooling, I don't have to pay clothing, I don't have to pay anything. 12 years old? Sure, have at it, Debbie Cook. Here, it's all it took, you guys, to go like that for our parent to go scribble wibble. And then I don't have a child anymore. They're saving the world. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of my child saving the world. Oh, you need their passport? Here you go. Have that too. What else would you need? Birth certificate? Here. Whatever you want, we'll give it to you because you are all about to save the world. Have at it with my child. And imagine that the stupid idiots at the Tampa Bay Times do write that little story for themselves. The parents have that on the public record. They read it. You know, all of these disgusting abuses happening at Gold weren't BPI. And if you guys don't know what BPI means, that was called broad public issue, right, Mike Rinder? Things were either VPI or Sea Org members' eyes only. So y'all decided to make your little abuses of Dave and y'all real public and really sanitize y'all's image, purporting you were all a bunch of what? We were all beaten by Dave, the 5'4" man that got away with shoving you against a tree on a terry cloth robe. The one that Thomas C. Tobin obsessed with David Miscavige, you guys. This is what it is with the Tampa Bay Times. They are obsessed. You know why? Because anytime they put the name David Miscavige in their little headline, guess what happens to the failing, corrupt 501c that is the Tampa Bay Times? Bling, 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 cash, cash, cash comes in. Cash, cash, cash. Quick, quick, quick. Just write it up. Put it there. Put it there. Have no critical thinking skills. Who in the literal hell cares? Tampa Bay people are all about this. Clearwater people can't get enough of it. They're so proud to really, you know, host the American dream inside of hotels for literal people that will go inside of those hotels, have their way with a child, have a way to pay money to literally be audited by a child, something that Mike Rinder would know all about. And where in the hell is that written in your book, Mike Rinder? By all means, tell us the chapter, tell us the line, because plenty of people have read your book. Plenty of people have read your book and paid for it. And, you know, you and your little publishing house are cashing checks, laughing all the way to the bank, to the literal bank. As you really have sat there with a straight face, pretending that David Miscavige was the only problem. And if it wasn't for him, you all would have been having a jolly old time doing what in the hell you were all about. So, breaking news to you. Breaking news to you. Your problem is not David. Your problem is L. Ron Hubbard. Your problem is the fact that you are the pro bono publicist of L. Ron Hubbard, the spokesperson of L. Ron Hubbard. And you did it pro bono. You did it for free. You didn't even give a shred of an F to get paid for that because you were that goo goo gaga for that disgusting, abominable pig. That, contrary to everyone's beliefs, they want to say, but he was just a child, Serge. Sure. He was a child that rose up the ranks. He was a child that did finish high school and then went to that ship and got FaceTime with L. Ron Hubbard. Do y'all think that we had FaceTime with L. Ron Hubbard? No, because he was dead. And thanks to Mike Rinder, David Miscavige, and Marty Rathbun, the three amigos from hell, we also got abducted in 1993. We also got sold into slavery by our own parents, cashing checks and really wanting to, you know, get themselves an American visa, because wasn't that what your office was setting up, Mike Rinder? Or does the Office of Special Affairs, OSA WOSA, your BS disgusting office, where you did have a bunch of proteges doing your bidding, where you curated and approved every last shred of protege that is inside that office? You have what it takes, Glenn Stylo. Come over here. Let's really mastermind a whole visa scheme, because it's not like ICE is ever going to give a shred of an F. It's not like putting minors in front of ICE is ever going to raise a shred of red flag. And in what world are you so incapable of stopping these hotels, Mike Rinder? In what world is that? In today's world, in this year 2024, in this, you know, situation where you really do call us fleas and dogs and whatever other stupid thing, you're getting a lawyer to write for you. So let's take a look at this even further. Actually, take a look at this.
Fleas and Granada Hills. And
Oops, I did the same thing that Liz did. Put it all on 2x speed because you know what? It's almost nauseating to hear it in one-way speed, but let's just really analyze what is said right here.
I opened up an office with another guy named Michael, who was with the Church of Scientology for many, many years. He was from New Zealand. And we had a very, very good relationship together. And we had about 100 agents of his that were Scientologists. And I work with these guys. And I got to tell you, my experience with them, for what it's worth, was absolutely amazing to work with these folks. And, you know, on their work ethic, on their, you know, we had certain issues at tail end of it, you know, financial, some other issues that happened. But their work ethic, what they were doing, how they were coming about the business, how great of salespeople they were, how they had no problem working until 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. They were workers, and I respected that. I respect somebody that's a worker. And later on, when I, you know, got a chance to get closer, I would go to.
Imagine this man, you guys. Imagine this man that has had all manner of, you know, trafficking awareness people, you know, trafficking, anti-trafficking people that he's gotten on his podcast to speak on this issue. Imagine this man you see on the screen was working with 100, he just said it, 100 Scientology, really, really big worker people. How many of those people, I don't even know his name, but PBD podcast, how many of those people had kids? Because I guess you missed all the red flags that showed up when you were cashing checks for yourself. And then you'll also miss the red flag when you called up, you know who I really should have on my show? Mike Rinder. Really, I should really have him real quick. And you know what I should really do with him? Share stories about how I had 100 Scientologists working for me, very hard workers, stay till 10 o'clock at night. How many of those mothers were working real hard for you and neglecting AF their kid? Because that would be a great question for you, Mr. PBD Podcast, to ask yourself in front of a mirror. Literally.
Through the church in LA, and I would debate them, and I would just, you know, I had an itch to debate every religion at the time because I was going through my own journey. And I would go to a Church of Scientology and I would say, so tell me, who is God? And they would say, who do you think is God? I said, don't worry about who I think is God. Who do you think is God? No, who do you think is God? No, tell me who you think is God. I'm asking you. And it was such a, you know, they were so trained on how to ask questions and how to go back and forth.
We were very well trained on how to ask questions, PBD man. We really were trained on that type of situation. Who's God? Well, who do you think it is? Well, tell me you. No, you tell me. Well, you tell me. I mean, again, you guys, imagine the straight face that this man is using to purport that, you know, he has critical thinking skills. And all the while, all the Scientologists that worked for him ran circles around him. All of the while, literal Mike Rinder ran circles around him. And it's called, they had no skin in the game. They didn't go inside the hotel. They didn't see what in the hell was being done to kids inside of these hotels. So they got told a lot of things. Oh yeah, the real debate you really should be having with a Scientologist, who is God? Who the F cares? Go ask Jeffrey and Jelaine while you're at it, PBD man, who is God? Because I'm sure you'll have great conversations with him and also with Jelaine and also with Bill Gates and also with Bill Clinton and also with every last shred of person that was on the Epstein Island that, you know, could have just called up Monique, put a cross on their Jeffrey Island thing, and then all of a sudden, you know, those were the conversations you were having. But yes, you're right. We're very, very adept at asking questions. Inside of those hotels, our heads would be put on pikes. as kids if we didn't ask the right question when we were in the audit. So go call up Mike Rinder real quick and ask him what an audit is. And tell him to explain you the rules of engagement laid out by disgusting, convicted, indicted L. Ron Hubbard, so that you really can start actually getting into the weeds instead of your glib AF grifting podcast that is all about purporting that you are such an amazing person that really is going to tell America how to think and how to like whatever, but you literally cannot even pull the first string from a rag doll.
And so I was enamored by it, and then Mark Kidley, and then now we have you here. So for some folks that don't know, if you don't mind taking a moment and just give your background on how you got into Church of Scientology and why you left in 2007.
Okay, well, I got into it because my parents became involved when I was a child in Australia. And from about the age of 5, I started being, really growing up in a Scientology household. And when you're a Scientologist, you believe that the word of L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, is really the word of God. He wrote.
False pitch, you guys. No one ever said the word of God inside of those hotels. And just so y'all know, Mike Rinder, maybe you got pulled into this at 5. We were born into it. We were born inside the Sea Org. You were already working in there for L. Ron Hubbard by the time we were born. And you know what? The word God was a word nobody gave a shred of an F outside of a fake pitch written by that convicted felon about how the 8th dynamic was about God and spirituality. No one gave an F about the 8th dynamic, you guys. No one ever said, oh, your problem is your 8th dynamic is really out of alignment. Imagine that they really only cared about the first dynamic, meaning you, the second dynamic, meaning sex, the third dynamic, meaning us, the group that are stuck here. We're all friends. This is our third dynamic, you guys. And everything else was just a pathetic fake pitch from the convicted indicted felon that, yes, including but not limited to Mike Rinder, were goo goo gaga for. So again, with this idea and this false pitch, even after he left, even after he's been gone for so long, it's like, oh yeah, we really just thought about God really a lot. And the word of L. Ron Hubbard was God. Please, Mike Rinder, please. You embarrass yourself every time you open your mouth, because everyone you speak to has no idea about anything you're saying other than your literal spin.
Wrote about or talked about everything, everything from how to wash windows to how to be eternally spiritually free and happy. And
in what world does washing windows and eternally being free and happy combine, you guys? Literally, honestly, because I am really questioning that thing, you know, because that's been the narrative. Oh, L. Ron Hubbard did really write a lot of stuff, and you know, he wrote about washing a window and being eternally happy and locking your child against their will also. So please, Mike Rinder, include that, sanitize that for us now today. We would love that sanitized real quick. We would love that to make a shred of sense today, that we do have the brain power, not the theta, not the urine ageless spirit. No, the brain power as we developed and continue to develop, those of us, the few of us that have lived to tell, kids that grew up with not a shred of power inside of there. Because again, you guys, all of you that want to be like, yeah, but you were so young and innocent and also roped in as a kid. Yes, but this is a system of slave master and peon slave. So yeah, you wonder why this man can just sit there with a straight face, not being very pressed about whatever in the hell was done to him other than David Miscavige beating him. Because that is his little stick. David beat me. David did this thing bad to me. And you haven't even been called out for the type of illegal activities, Rinder, that you orchestrated and masterminded inside that disgusting office that you were so proud to be the watchdog committee, whatever in the hell dog. I mean, talk about a dog, you guys. Mike Rinder was part of the watchdog committee. So maybe the flea comment is just about right now making a lot of sense. So you're the dog and we're the fleas, and you're pressed because, yes, we're just a bunch of fleas irritating your disgusting, corrupt scam and scheme. I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense with this flea comment right about now.
The idea that Scientologists have is that Hubbard is the source of all valuable information.
The idea that Scientologists have, Rinder, and you were his publicist. So where in the hell did they get that idea? Because you know what? Wasn't L. Ron Hubbard completely out of his mind and disgusting by the time he was going bye-bye? Or was he like completely sane and you were all about listening to a very sane old man that had a lot of sage advice to give to everyone? Because again, you would have known, you had access to that level of highly classified info. Yes or no, Mike Rinder? It's a very easy thing for you to just literally say yes or no. Or you know what? On the advice of counsel, I won't answer that because I don't have to incriminate myself and whoopee woo. So you can say that too. Whatever in the hell you want to say, you can say for yourself.
About everything. And he called his teachings in Scientology technology. To give it,
He called it, and then who else called it? Y'all called it the same thing. And then y'all got your little Monique Yingling to go, theology, the technology is the same thing. No one's ever going to suspect a single shred of nothing because, again, you guys, theology allows all of these religions one thing and one thing only: plausible deniability. Theology written in prose and the fish and the birds and the sky and the beast and this and God and blah and blah. It's all interpretational. So all manner of people can go there. And yes, religions also get hijacked by unhinged, psychotic, narcissists breaking news. The book itself is written in such a way that, yes, a court cannot go and be like, lock up someone against their will and never let them out unless it's on your own, unless it's the determinism of the other person that's locking them up. Oh, okay. There is no religion that says that in their books, in their theology. Never mind that then they can institute all manner of policies that are unhinged. But that's not, they cannot blame that on God. They cannot blame that on Jesus Christ that wrote, do something unhinged and illegal and call it whatever. So this whole pitch about how a religion has technology and theology together falls flat on its literal face, Mike Rinder. And you seem to be intellectually capable of understanding that difference. Because you know what? We didn't have a shred of schooling. And you know what else we didn't have, Mike Rinder? A shred of access to the highest, most expensive attorneys that America has to offer, mentoring us to really come up with the scheme necessary, the pyramid sham scheme that you, David, and Marty were all about masterminding, that you, David, and Marty were all as adults masterminding, mind you. You weren't a little child. You weren't 5-year-olds calling up Monique. You met Monique way later. You met every single lawyer that this hotel sham scheme of yours literally hired, as if OSA wasn't the people in charge of that. Yes, David oversaw you. Yes, Marty Ragburn also oversaw you. So yes, you were their literal minion, but you weren't the minion of all the people that came beneath you, pyramid scheme that you ran. So let's make sure that you really start blabbing and typing statements and using your wonderfully amazing skills to do more than just this BS.
It's sort of an aura that it was scientifically based, and he claimed and continues to claim, Scientology continues to claim, that if you do exactly what he says, exactly the way he says to do it, it works 100% of the time. It is
I mean, imagine this man. L. Hubbard was dead, Mike Rinder. Did you forget that? That L. Hubbard was nice and dead and under a grave by the time you claimed that this had an aura of this and an aura of that. L. Ron Hubbard was dead, burned to ashes, thrown in the sea. So as much as you really want to blame everything on your daddy figure, L. Ron Hubbard, nice try. Nice literal try, because you know what? We're talking about the public record, what's in there. In 1993, L. Ron Hubbard was nowhere to be MF found. So who said all these auras of this and all these auras of that? Who opened their mouth and said that those were the things that really would work? Because you always pitch yourself as the translator. Oh, they say that, they did that, they. Where the hell were you? Where in the hell were you? Were you not running this? Because you say you ran it, and then you say you don't run it, and then you say they did it, and then you don't want to take a shred of accountability for nothing.
Fallible solution to all problems confronted by any individual and all of mankind. And so growing up, my sort of life became, well, what would Ron do to solve the problem? What's Ron's answer to this? And this is a really important thing to understand about Scientology. You become so dependent upon what Hubbard says is the answer that you lose your perspective on figuring things out for yourself.
Well, apparently you have still not gained a shred of perspective, no matter how long you have not been abused by David inside of those hotels and commercial buildings and golf courses. Where's your perspective today? Where's your perspective standing up for what you know happened inside of those hotels and commercial buildings? Why are you still operating in whatever L. Ron Hubbard said would be a great idea? Always attack, never admit to a shred of a thing, utilize and weaponize attorneys in whatever way you literally dragged Ford Green to literally soil his entire reputation with one letter written on your behalf. Didn't you also fair game Ford Green? Imagine that, you guys, that the literal attorney who was literally the effect of this disgusting man's actions, unhinged, lawless AF actions, just because his little daddy figure L. Ron Hubbard told him, and he really lost sight of anything, and he really got told by L. Ron Hubbard that he couldn't be more special in wanting to save our world. By now, in this year 2024, ensnaring and soiling Ford Green's reputation by now becoming the general counsel of the aftermath. And all that money raised by SPTV, Mike Rinder, those are all small donations from all of us in the community. That now you and little Claire Headley, Claire Bear, Clary Wary, whatever in the hell you guys call each other, are now spending, crisis management, or that's really going to save a lot of people out of the hotel. But sure, keep spending money that isn't yours, because that's been, I guess, another one of these things that L. Ron Hubbard did tell you to do, because all of L. Ron Hubbard's proteges and minions and adults donate to these centers, you guys. As much as everybody wants to go, let's cradle and canoodle every last adult that has what? Gotten a tax write-off from the IRS to donate. So these people could be literally hiring attorneys, hiring PIs to destroy our lives. So yes, spend the money and the donations from SPTV that were given to literally your foundation, and Claire's foundation is y'all's foundation now. It's y'all's literal foundation. So I'm glad you got the resources to do whatever in the hell you want.
Because it's easy. And it's actually, frankly, one of the things that keeps people in Scientology. It's really easy in some respect. While it's enormously difficult in some fashion, it's really easy in some respects to be a Scientologist. You don't have to think about anything.
Oh, well, isn't that great, you guys? Breaking news. Mike Rinder admits that it's very easy, that he didn't have to think about anything. And he's providing cover for all Scientologists that don't want to think a shred of a thing for themselves in getting implicated in a wide-ranging criminal racketeering scheme, trafficking minors, forcing minors to sign what? Binding contracts as minors. What else? Dead bondaging minors by telling them that if they ever get audited inside the hotel, if they're in a billion-year contract, that stuff is getting racked up. Invoices are getting signed by minors. Oh, give us your passport. We're going to lock it up and we'll keep it safe. Oh, it's not your passport. It's your valuable document, is what you were saying it was. So right there, 3 strikes. Passports locked up, dead bondage of minors, minors signing consent to be part of your hotel operation. And apparently it's been so easy for you to never think, to never use your own personal brain that you were given. That's what in the hell is called being an adult, Mike Rinder. Just FYI, use your brain. Don't rely on being told by L. Ron Hubbard how to do things. Because right now, that's what this is literally giving. And all the Scientologists that wouldn't really go, well, L. Ron Hubbard told me to do it. Well, then go check with a criminal attorney, a competent one. Don't just go and get some cheap-ass attorney that doesn't know what in the hell they're talking about. Go check with them. If we grab a minor's passport and lock it up, can I call that a religious activity? If I lock up a child in a hotel and I video record me asking depraved, unhinged questions, I mean, you guys, if it's not literally outrageous that little Mikey Rinder will grab an attorney at a literal snap of his fingers when he gets asked a question that he might not want to answer. And where was that concern for all the minors getting implicated in audits, Mike Rinder, being literally asked disgusting, nauseating questions? Where were my attorneys when I was locked up with a self-admitted pedo? Where were they? Where? Where were you denouncing the RPFs? Were you, Debbie Cook, Mike Rinder, Tom DeBach, Angie Blankenship, Angie Trent, Supishay Gentry, David Miscavige, Shelley Miscavige, all of y'all had kids locked up with self-admitted pedos. By all means, tell us how that works. Tell us. Write it on a pitch. Put it together. Call the Tampa Bay Times. Call Thomas C. Tobin. Thomas C. Tobin, I really need a favor. I'm sure that the corporate media who's been giving you the stage, I mean, this PDS podcast or whatever you guys is apparently a very big one or whatever, like he's been given the microphone and he always just goes, takes it and quacks and quacks and quacks and sanitizes and with a full-blown straight face really tells you how it's just so easy to, outsource all your critical thinking skills to a convicted, indicted felon, because that's just not going to work out badly for you. Because I did tell the IRS that he's a American-bred god, and that pitch did really resonate with the IRS, who did really take it upon themselves to implicate themselves in actually allowing reckless lawlessness in America, where self-admitted PEDOSs can be told that with the wonderful technology of convicted, indicted felon L. Ron Hubbard, all of their self-admitted felonies will get floated into the floating float. So, yeah, I'm sure the IRS right about now should be really ruining the day that they ever gave you, disgusting Marty Rathbun, high school dropout, and David Miscavige, the time of day to give you that stupid 501c3 that you really begged, cried, squealed, yelled. It's an injustice, you guys. How can America do that? How can America discriminate about a minority religion? A minority religion propped up inside of hotel rooms where y'all were video recording disgusting, unthinkable snuff films. Because what in the hell do you call a child being locked up against their will? Strapped bondage to this disgusting machine. Can't move. You can't make. Yeah, they didn't have us in handcuffs, you guys. Leave that to the Mormon moms. Leave that to the Mormon moms like that one Ruby Frankie. These guys were much smarter. Oh no, that's going to leave marks. Just put them on the cans. Just leave them there. No one's going to know anything. You know, the FDA already said that this is a very spiritual machine. And then, you know, nobody wants to touch these people with a 10-foot pole. The FDA, the IRS, the FBI, the CIA, the FDLE, the LAPD, the Clearwater Police. No law exists in America. Thanks to Mike Rinder, really literally shitting on all those agencies that have really, you know, asked them very nice little questions, because you know what? He is presumed innocent. It's not great, you guys, that this man is presumed very, very innocent and he cannot help himself but lie. He cannot help himself but pitch himself as, I'm here to advocate for all victims of Scientology, as if that's not even literally written on your disgusting YouTube page. Exposing Scientology since 2009 and really helping victims. Why is everything you say, Mike Rinder, a false pitch? Why? Or is it a right pitch? I mean, by all means, clarify the record. Call Thomas E. Tobin. Call, you know, Dan Harris of ABC News. He really did launder Debbie Cook's image and make her look very granola. Right about now, you should be actually using your crisis management team to set up an interview with them. Maybe Oprah Winfrey while you're at it. Maybe she will actually take this time to really sit with you. Oprah Winfrey, bestie Westies with John Travolta that she is. I'm sure she'll be like, oh no, yes, let's help you. Let's help you launder. Let's put some Tide.
There is an answer for you on how to do everything and how to act and what your reaction should be and what you should think about things, everything like that.
Anyway, that's what in the hell it's called being an infantile degenerate. Breaking news, you guys. Anyway, all adults are responsible for their own choices. So if you're really going to a book and checking, oh, what does it say to do here? Lock up a kid against their will. Okay, let me go do that because it does say that in the book. Wouldn't want to upset my daddy figure, L. Ron Hubbard or anything. I mean, God forbid. God forbid. And they did act extremely pressed, you guys. Every time that L. Ron Hubbard did say something and it wasn't followed, all of them acted like vultures. And if you think they were calling kids fleas, if you think they were using cutesy-wootsy terms, they weren't using any type of cutesy-wootsy nothing. So, anyways, like Mike Rinder said.
Right. I'm digressing
you
a bit.
spend a lot of time with him. You actually, you spend time with him. So there's a lot of people in Church of Scientology that have never met him, never spent time with him. You have.
The vast majority of Scientologists have never had any interaction whatsoever with Hubbard. Yes, you're right. I did.
So there you go, guys. This is the man that spent a lot of time with the convicted, indicted felon daddy figure that he really idolized. So where's your plausible deniability, Mike Rinder, right about now? Us that didn't spend time with that man. Us that are the effect of our parents getting ensnared, roped in, sold your disgusting false pitch about how L. Ron Hubbard really wanted to save a world, really had a technology that if you really do follow it, it's going to really result great for you. You could have told Monique Yingling, can we lock kids up against their will inside of a hotel? And could that put us in any type of legal liability, Monique Yingling? I mean, even Monique, you guys, I think I feel sorry for her because even Monique, the idiot that she is, probably didn't check that policy because, you know, Mikey told her, no, Monique, don't read the policies because that means you're interpreting a religious transcript that L. Ron Hubbard did right for himself. So, you know, just type whatever in the hell you need to type. Use your connections at the DOJ. Use your connections, Monique, at the IRS and get us the 501c status now. I mean, it's either that, you guys, or Monique read all of that and said, what a great idea. This is just like my church. We also lock up kids against their will, and all parents are implicated. All parents are endorsing it. All parents are all about it. All parents will literally pay. I mean, imagine being the parent that pays for your child to be tortured. Imagine the parent that pays for your child to be illegally confined inside a disgusting hotel room with a random that completes a 2-week course inside of a hotel, and all of a sudden they couldn't be more empowered to do whatever in the hell they want to their kid. Imagine being the parent that gets told, oh no, whatever happens in session stays in session. Imagine us being the kids that really bought the pitch. Oh, you can talk about your case outside of this, okay? Just make sure you never talk. If you have any complaint, write it down on a piece of paper and write it to your CS. Dear CS, I really hated my last session. My auditor was asking me disgusting, weird questions, and I really couldn't leave when I was crying and squealing and wheeling for 5 hours. Please advise. Much love, me, 12-year-olds. Oh, the CS. Oh, look, complaining. What did L. Ron Hubbard say about complaints? Oh, yeah, double down. Check with that kid what type of withhold they have. Check with that kid what type of crime they've committed that they're criticizing the amazing L. Ron Hubbard. How dare kids complain about what in the hell is being done to them? How dare they? And just like that, we had no First Amendment right inside of that disgusting hotel. Right or wrong, Mike Rinder? I mean, you that really did study all about all manner of laws and loopholes, please let us know. Because right now, we would really like to understand that for ourselves quickly.
But in any event, I was basically groomed to be a Scientologist from a very young age. And part of being a good Scientologist is that ultimately you join what is called the C organization.
So you were groomed as a very young child. And then what? You became a groomer? You became an endorser? You became a spin master? You became the one that got L. Ron Hubbard out of his grave and really lauded as the American God that we have on the public record? Who got L. Ron Hubbard all his New York Times bestseller, really buy this book, really get it endorsed? It's called payola, you guys. The New York Times couldn't be more pathetic. The entire editorial board of the New York Times, who does know Mike Rinder from back in the day. I mean, how do you have a New York Times bestseller for 100 weeks? You guys, that's what was in the center that they just frosted up. Because yes, now it's all frosted. Don't look inside. And what did they have there before? Oh, New York Times bestseller. L. Ron Hubbard 100 times, 100 weeks or whatever in the hell. So yeah, you were groomed, Mike Rinder. And then what? As a 55-year-old, you were still a child when you left? I mean, this man left in his, I believe, early 50s, what, late 40s? So how many decades did you spend doing the bidding of a convicted, indicted felon, Mike Rinder? Because yes, you should talk to that, Ford Green. Why don't you just ask him? How do I defend myself, Ford Green? Please really defend me. Because look what they're saying about me. I was a child too. It's not fair that Serge is saying these things about me because I was also a child. How dare he? Well, yes, we were children, but we're also regular schmegulars. And we were also fleas at the bottom of the literal barrel, doing y'all's disgusting hardcore role plays that we had no shred of a clue what in the hell we were doing. And yes, we didn't wait until we were 50. We haven't even gotten to your age, Mike Rinder. And we were already out of that MF hotel. By our very early 20s, we couldn't wait to break the literal disgusting billing year contract that Debbie Cook had us literally choking us with. So you could have left at 21. You could have left at that age as well. Since you did have FaceTime with L. Ron Hubbard, you should have. You literally should have. So despite all your white privilege being exposed and whatever, you don't give an F. And all you do is, David Miscavige did it all. I had no shred of a clue and whatever.
And the Sea Organization is the sort of inner core of Scientology.
The Sea Organization doesn't exist, Mike Rinder, so stop spewing your lies again. You're very well versed in the technicalities of how y'all propped up your sham pyramid scheme. The Sea Organization, you guys, breaking news, doesn't exist. Because it's all a bunch of sham corporations. There's RTC, there's CMO, there's CSI, there's La La La, there's Li Li Li, there's IIS, there's Blue Blue Blue, there's FSO, there's FSSO, there's, author services, there's... The Sea Organization doesn't exist, turns out. Little did we know. Little did we literally know as kids being stuck there, because everybody there got told you're part of the Sea Organization, you guys. And then now, when anyone wants to sue them, there's a million attorneys that show up because, I represent FSSO, I represent RTC, I represent CSI, I represent, all these acronyms that Marty, Dave, and Rinder really went to the IRS and told them this is a very religious enterprise. It's a very religious enterprise, IRS. And the LAPD would really love to outsource self-admitted child pedos to go get cleansed inside of our hotels, because the LAPD that does not have the guts to sit and interrogate and get them to self-admit will just have children that will teach that too. Right, Mike Rinder? How many children were put under me to supervise on courses so they could also be doing what in the hell I was told was clearing a planet? Because yes, if you see me a little pressed right now, that's why you see me livid AF. It's called rightful rage. What type of drug are y'all on that you feel nothing other than privileged white entitlement, talking to all these people that, don't see anything wrong with any picture and really are buying your pitch, the pitch of a lifetime that you got so well rehearsed here?
All of the top hierarchy of the Scientology organization are required to be Sea Org members. And that's what the title of the book is about. It's called A Billion Years because a Sea Org member signs a billion-year contract committing themselves to eternity in the service of Scientology.
Oh, yeah, right, Mike Rinder. A billion years. What a great title you came up with. Children were signing billion-year contracts. Everyone in the cadet org was signing a billion-year contract, Mike Rinder. And if you wouldn't have had your way, if you wouldn't have masterminded, would we have ended up signing those contracts? Or would this shit would have gone defunct and dead? By 1993, we would have had nothing to do with this disgusting scheme had it not been for you. And yes, adults, you guys, breaking AF news. The courts of these United States will allow an adult, and we have all the contracts that the attorneys of Scientology have written to prove our point, will allow an adult to consent, including but not limited to be completely enslaved, completely without no rights, degraded, punished, abused, whatever. They get off on it. They loved it. They got power. They got their own thing going on for themselves inside of those hotels. As much as y'all really think, well, oh, they're all abused. Well, yeah, but they're also there willingly. As adults, they made a choice. As adults, they really did like it. The ones that are still there have literally put their mouth where their money is. They do this pro bono. They like it so much that they don't care that they're getting paid $50. They'll do it for nothing. So, yes, it's true. 1 billion years and blah, 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 and adults signing billion-year contracts, and no one can come and save you from doing something stupid. It's called be an adult, make a choice, find your boundaries, discuss your limits, and all of a sudden you do have all of those adults there. They're still under your false laundered pitch, so we'll give them that credit. They're still under this BS delusion that this Mike Rinder's pro bono client, L. Ron Hubbard, that he spent a lot of time with, was an amazing, great man, that everything that Mike Rinder says, they're still under that spell. Oh, well, Mike Rinder did tell us that. And L. Ron Hubbard did have a lot of plans to really save a world. So, yeah, maybe they're not full willing. Maybe there is some level of undue influence, but maybe we don't give a shred of an F, given that there's hundreds and thousands of minors that are not being advocated for, that get told that they're adults just like everyone else. Well, you know what? We're pushing back on that false narrative today, because we're saying kids that don't have a shred of consent can start getting saved. And the LAPD, instead of all the leadership of the LAPD listening to your stupid pitch here, can really start doing their goddamn job. The taxpayers of this country pay, because no one in America wants child slavery. And that's become very, very clear from all of these actual support and backup that we're getting from people that have no dog on the fight, that didn't donate their kids to this disgusting hotel. So let's just start with that. There's plenty of people who literally are revolted AF, and they'll give a shred of a F that all of y'all liked it real rough in there. Your hardcore scene, those little disgusting hotels where, you know, no one's allowed to go in unless they're really, really approved.
And SEOG members live communally and have everything provided to them by the organization, which, you know, for some people is also very comforting.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you don't have to worry about.
Okay, well, you know what, Mike Rinder? For the kids that grew up in there, breaking news to you, oblivious AF, recklessly oblivious that you are, the kids that were there were not there on their own volition. So, yes, you again still doing the publicity for these hotels. Well, you know what? Some of them do find it easy, you guys. Yeah, some of them do find it easy, because, you know, how hard would it be for them to get a job, to really do get paid, and to do something where they're not being told that they're saving a world, that they're not getting told that they're so special 24/7, because all of you that are really sacrificing your life here, because it's all done under that guise. You guys, oh my God, I'm really sacrificing. Aren't I doing so much for the world right now as I sacrifice my life to these disgusting hotels? So by all means, Mike Rinder, continue giving these hotels the benefit of the doubt, because here you are on the public record as you pitch your book to sell this type of garbage.
About anything. You've got food, you've got somewhere to sleep. It may be shitty food, may not be a nice place to sleep.
Sure.
Yeah. So just for all of you who have not kept track of all of this disgusting things, you guys, yeah, it might not be a great birthing as if it wasn't a roach infested motel, Mike Rinder. And by all means, get on the record already and tell everyone the type of lavish birthing that you had as a high-ranking watchdog of OSAT that you were. Because really start with that. And again, you guys, because everybody's pretended that everyone in those hotels is just living under the same things. BS. They're slave masters and they're slaves, peons. And trust me, the slave masters, nice quarters, nice thing, they still get treated like shit. Like, yeah, sure, they can get beaten up anytime they want. They're still minions of somebody. But the more minionship you have underneath you, the nicer your birthing is. But trust me, no child was being looked after because they were all just being relegated to roach-infested motels.
Sure. But you've got it. And these days, actually, that's what a big selling point for Scientology is, to get people from Central America and Eastern Europe to come and join the Sea organization in the United States.
BS. Like, oh, these days. Oh, back in the day when I was doing it, it didn't count because we really weren't going to Central America. As if I wasn't grabbed from Mexico. Under your leadership, Mike Rinder. These days, they really do that, you guys. The systemic institutionalized targeting of worldwide trafficking that Mike Rinder oversaw as the head of that Osa Wosa office that he did hold for himself for decades was all about grabbing the minor, really discovering if that minor could pose a legal threat to the organization. Do they have any family in the FBI? Do they have any family in the NSA? Do they have any family in the CIA? Do they have any family in law enforcement? Do they have any family in the corporate media? Any of those answers with a yes, and you wouldn't have been able to save a planet. So by all means, Mike Rinder, make that make sense. That little pitch that, you know, now they're really going after Eastern Europers, and now they're really going after Central America because, you know, when you were there, it didn't happen. It all just happened because David said that. And actually, you were the mastermind. David is just a pathetic, infantile bully at the top that is just screams and rages all day. But you were actually very, very smart. Too smart for your own good, to be honest.
And there was a recent article about it in the New York Magazine about this visa fraud that Scientology is engaged in. Now,
oh yeah, thank God that you bring that up. See how media savvy you actually are, Mike Rinder? See how savvy you actually truly are? New York Magazine article that I was featured in, along with plenty of other minors. So yes, it's taken us how many decades to get that little story, and you're just now jumping on the bandwagon. Oh, let's really just bring that up because I really had a lot to do with it. Well, why the hell did you not tell Thomas C. Tobin that passports of minors were systemically, institutionally confiscated? Because you know what? The truth rundown that Thomas T. Tobin wrote for himself and all the lies that he sanitized for y'all to the Tampa Bay Times readers are because of you, and because of Marty Rathbun, and because of Debbie Cook, and because of Tom DeVocht, and because of Amy Scovey, and everyone else that has used the papers to launder y'all's image instead of describing time, place, form, and event of every felony that y'all oversaw, of every criminal act that y'all oversaw, of everything that you laundered inside of those hotels, and the type of everything that you recorded, video recorded. That's called evidence y'all were keeping on yourselves. That's called acting with impunity because L. Ron Hubbard told you, and you outsource all your critical thinking adult skills to a convicted, indicted felon, which is a choice. So all these people that really want to come save people from a world of cults, you guys, it's called choice. And go look up Charles Manson and see how his proteges didn't get to wash their hands of literal blood because they were told to do something by a man. It's called criminal conspiracy. Look that up, Mike Rinder. Criminal conspiracy that you were a part of, that you were a mastermind of, that you did have a ton of access to attorneys. And in what world did all these attorneys that are on Scientology's payroll never rein y'all back? Because that's our question that we have for the attorneys next. Why in the literal hell are all these attorneys getting paid on retainers? Why are all these attorneys setting up an attorney-client relationship without a shred of due diligence? And we really have that question to all the state bar associations of, including but not limited to, California, Washington, D.C., New York, and Florida. Let's just go with those 4, you guys. Never mind that these people have centers everywhere. So let's actually include the one in Texas as well while we're at it, since that's where the hell I was literally grabbed from.
Nevertheless, I became a Sea Org member. Shortly after becoming a Sea Org member, I went, as you mentioned, to the ship that Hubbard was operating on at the time. This was in 1973, and worked there with him for a couple of years until we came to Clearwater.
So you worked there with L. Ron Hubbard for a couple of years. You were also floating around on a ship. Gee, I wonder if that's why y'all really went with the pitch. Well, you know what? If L. Ron Hubbard did it to us, let's do it to other kids. Let's do it to Valeska. Let's do it to Gwen. Let's do it to Gwen's wife while we're at it. Send minors to a ship to float around in international waters with their passports confiscated. Case in the house, also there. Plenty of people doing what in the hell L. Ron Hubbard told y'all to do that you did do.
To Florida in December of 1975. And I sort of rose through the ranks of Scientology to ultimately become the international spokesperson for Scientology.
Sort of rose through? Mikey Rinder, you literally cannot help yourself. Sort of, just a coincidence. Just literally floated my way up to the top with no efforts of my own because, just floated like a little bird, like a little duck. No one floated anywhere inside of those hotels, you guys. Let's make sure that that is clear. So Claire Headley, how did you float up to there? Because you showed them that you had what it got, right? You were qualified to be an RTC rep. They qualified you to be an RTC rep, Claire Headley. You didn't also float up. Float. Oh my God, I ended up in RTC. The third in charge of this disgusting scheme. And yes, you were also a child. And yes, you were also groomed. And yes, you were also Dave and Shelley's favorite, Claire Headley. So why were you their favorite? And why were you an RTC rep for how many years after you turned 21? How many years were you overseeing everything, including all of Mike Rinder's actions, as you've already put it on the public record? Oh, but I was your senior, Mike Rinder. Remember? I was the third in command, you guys. I really had it at the very top. Well, by all means, clarify and advise what in the hell that mean. And before everybody goes, oh, everybody just ended in random places inside of that hotel. Bullshit. Nobody just got posted somewhere just out of nothing. They interrogated them. They looked into their background. They looked into their production record. They put them on missions. They said, okay, let's see how you do in this mission. Let's see how ruthless you can be. Let's see how effective you can be at following our agenda and doing our bidding. So yeah, some of us ended up just literal peons at the bottom of the barrel because that's all we were good for. But some of y'all did end up, sort of nowhere, Mike Rinder, sort of nowhere. Y'all did. I mean, you guys, if I really had to describe for y'all the level of like human resources on steroids, you don't understand the type of human resources these people do, the type of egregious, disgusting. I mean, now that we know what human resources is supposed to do and what they're allowed to do and what they're allowed to check and what they're allowed to, whatever is normal over there, they really wanted to know how many times Claire Headley had ever masturbated before they allowed her to get into the RTC post. Imagine that. Imagine that was one of the things that they went, oh, has she really masturbated a lot or not? Oh, she doesn't have a problem masturbating. Then she does qualify to be here because she's so ethical. So nothing ended up just willy-nilly happening inside of those hotels. Everything is a calculated, orchestrated, highly produced, highly I mean, that's where they have no shred of plausible deniability, you guys. And again, before everybody goes, oh, Serge, you're making such broad statements, then go look at the FBI investigation done when they did get indicted and convicted, to look at the level of target. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. This is a Snow White. This is how going to ruin Paulette Cooper's life. Operation Freakout. So that's already on the public record, FBI. So for y'all to just sit there on the sidelines with your heads up, you know exactly what in the hell we mean, is outrageous. For y'all to pretend, oh my God, it's so hard to really enforce the laws in America, you guys. We really just don't have enough resources at the FBI to help a shred of child. But, you know, as long as we find out that a box is missing out of any governmental office, then we really are going to get subpoenas approved by judges that will let us in to the hotels and come up with boxes and boxes and boxes. That lucky for y'all at the FBI, that lucky for y'all at the CIA, that lucky for y'all at the DOJ, that lucky for y'all at the LAPD, that lucky for y'all at the Clearwater Police. Couldn't be the easiest case y'all ever made for your damn selves. Oh, boxes, boxes. They kept everything. They recorded everything. But yeah, no one can help kids because, you deserved it. You really should have thought better when you were implicated in a wide-ranging criminal racketeering scheme. How dare you not find out with your 7th grade education?
And the head of what's called the Office of Special Affairs. And what you read out at the beginning, Patrick, about the Office of Special Affairs is like from the press release that Scientology says. You know, it's the media and public relations and, you know, dealing with litigation. And it omitted from that.
Dealing with what? What was that, Mike Rinder? What was that you just said between smirks? Dealing with what? Because you didn't really get that whole word out for yourself. Dealing with... You were dealing with litigation. You're perfectly aware how litigation works, as if you didn't spend decades scheming how to derail litigation, how to make all litigation go awry, not on the merits, not on the facts, out of technicalities that I guess Robert E. Mango, Monique Yingling, and all the other attorneys that get paid the big bucks have allegedly gotten away with you running that disgusting OSA WOSA. But I guess, you know, the FBI did get told that the indictments that they got for themselves for getting very, very inconvenienced, that these people were taking governmental records and destroying them, any evidence that was kept on themselves, they derailed. Any type of criminal investigation that was ever started, they were really pressed to literally obstruct. But I mean, again, this man is just a very innocent, ha ha ha, he he he. You see him like literally laughing as he's, what you just read about it. Yeah, like Rinder, you really look relatable right now.
That was destroying the enemies of Scientology. That's a big part of the role of the Office of Special Affairs.
So going back to spending time with Hubbard, is that the ship, by the way, the ship right there?
No, that's a new ship. That's the Free Winds, which is a different thing. That the Apollo is more of an old rust bucket.
Can you tap?
Oh, the Free Winds or the Slave Winds, you guys? Because again, all it took is for these people to go, it's the Free Winds where people are really going free. And it's the slave winds when you're a child with your passport locked up inside of an asbestos, disgusting hotel, ship, cruise, right? Or is it a floating cathedral?
An Apollo L. Ron Hubbard. L. Ron Hubbard. Let's see what it looks like.
There we go.
Black and white.
Well, it got painted white afterwards. There
That one
it
right
is,
there?
over there on the right. That's it. Oh, like those. That is the Apollo, the one on the right.
And you
bigger
spent
one.
time. You spent 2 years on that.
Yes.
So now I've read the reason why there was he had the ship is because it was not welcome by, he was kicked out of a lot of different places. They wouldn't let the ship go to many ports, so he had to go and live there until he got his tax. There's a lot of stories you hear about that. What was the reason why he was living on a ship for 2 years?
Because he had originally gone to, this is a bit of a backstory, but Hubbard had moved to England and bought this manor house in the south of England called Saint Hill, which was his home and the headquarters of Scientology internationally. The British government and press started giving him a hard time. He went off to Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, to quote unquote take over the country because he believed that he had been Cecil Rhodes in a previous lifetime. And
okay, you guys, I'm sorry to have to cut him off, and I had to let him go so you guys will really start understanding the complete and utter BS pitch that he really thought for himself. Let's really pitch this. L. Ron Hubbard was being given a hard time, and that's why he went on a ship. Let's really show y'all the reason that he was really actually fleeing on a literal ship. Let's really actually show you all that reason. So here we go, and here's the reason. So I cannot expand this bigger, you guys, but here it is. So Scientology Hubbard convicted of fraud in France in 1978. Scientology's chief sentenced by Paris court. Paris, February 14. Mr. Ron Hubbard, the American founder of the Church of Scientology, was sentenced to 4 years imprisonment and fined 35,000 francs, 3,500 pounds, for fraudulently obtaining funds by a court here. The judge said the church obtained money under false pretenses. Mr. Hubbard was tried in his absence, as were the former heads of the French section of the church. The judge issued a warrant for the arrest of Mr. Hubbard, who is reported to be living in his luxury yacht in the Atlantic. Agence France Presse, Times of London, 15 February 1978. By now, most people have learned that that the nation of France had decided to prosecute Scientology's French organization along with 7 of its top managers on fraud and drug charges. Damn, I had no idea that drugs were involved, you guys. Breaking news to me. News articles about the case usually mention that Scientology was acquitted of fraud charges there in 2002. Sometimes they mention that Scientology officials were convicted of fraud in Lyon in 1997 and in Marseille in 1999. Surprisingly, however, the fraud conviction of the cult founder L. Ron Hubbard on fraud charges in 78 does not seem to be mentioned in any of the English language reports. After 7-year public inquiry and a lengthy trial, the Paris tribunal found 4 top Scientologists, including Hubbard, guilty of making fraudulent claims that physical cures and professional success could be achieved through Scientology. Hubbard, who did not attend the trial and who had already fled the country, was sentenced to 4 years imprisonment. The judge concluded that the facts and statements by the witnesses were ample proof of the veracity of the charge. Quoting Hubbard on his own words, the judge found that Scientology made false promises with the sole aim of increasing the financial revenue. An article from the Catholic Sentinel reports that the court examined evidence of large profits made by the organization, which declares itself to be a nonprofit. The psychotherapeutic nature of the treatment dispensed by people with no medical qualifications, and the claim made by Scientology to be capable of curing some 70% of human illnesses, such as radioactive burn from the effects of atomic bombs, etc. Hubbard never served his prison. Underlined here, so for everyone to understand this, Hubbard never served his prison sentence because he was essentially on the run from the law, sailing in the Caribbean on his yacht Apollo, trying to avoid not only French authorities, but the U.S. authorities as well. So where is this false pitch coming from you? In 1978, the U.S. federal government was preparing for the trial of Hubbard's wife, Mary Sue, and numerous other Scientology officials on conspiracy and burglary charges. Hubbard, along with Scientology's lawyers Kendrick Moxon, still found on the stable of attorneys of Scientology, you guys. That's my own breaking news update contextualizing Kendrick Moxon. Kendrick Moxon, attorney who donated a child to the Sea Org. A child who is nowhere to be found today because, literally, kid you not, these people went when she literally did off herself, you guys, and I've spoken to people that were there that will feel horrendous about that. Right, Brendan Pearson? Or wrong? So yeah, Kendrick Moxon's daughter literally, allegedly died, electrocuted herself to literal death because she was chasing squirrels or bunnies or some BS thing that they used to cover up that death. So Kendrick Moxon, attorney in the stable of Scientology, were named as unindicted co-conspirators in that case. So isn't that great, you guys, that the legal team of Scientology includes an unindicted lawyer by named Kendrick Moxon, whose son was sent to be trained by me when I was a minor. So Kendrick Moxon was one of these parents in Scientology that was so okay with their kids being enslaved and being groomed to become disgusting interrogators, because that's what Kendrick Moxon's son was doing inside of the hotel that Debbie Cook trafficked him from Los Angeles all the way to Florida to really do the training that Debbie Cook was all about having minors get ensnared with. So yeah, he was named as unindicted co-conspirator. This means the federal prosecutors were very sure they were involved, but couldn't quite generate the evidence for a sure conviction. Mary Sue and the others ended up serving several years in federal prison. In addition, the Internal Revenue Service had evidence that Hubbard was taking millions of dollars of the top of Scientology profits and hiding it overseas banks. So shout out to the IRS, who is all about propping up this disgusting scheme of child traffickers. Hubbard never returned to France, and he was banned from the United Kingdom because he would not discuss his conviction with British authorities. Hubbard died in 1986 on his secluded California ranch. There's the references, and there's this other news in brief by the LA Times. The American... Sorry, you guys, this is really small. The American founder of the Church of Scientology, L. Ron Hubbard, was sentenced in absentia by French court to 4 years in prison and fined $7,000 after he and two of his French assistants were convicted of defrauding new members with promises of health and wealth. The two assistants, both of whom have left France, received lesser sentences. Hubbard is thought to be living on a yacht off the Bermuda and could not be reached for comment. Los Angeles Times, 15 February 1978. So that's a great spin that you got for yourself, Mike Rinder, as you still are doing pro bono the PR of that disgusting felon that you cannot help yourself but pitch to everyone what an amazing man he was, what a wonderful, amazing person that you did spend a ton of time with. A literal face-to-face is what in the hell you had with L. Ron Hubbard. Isn't that great, you guys, that Mike Rinder had face-to-face with L. Ron Hubbard? And, you know, now he chooses and picks whatever pitch comes around so that he really can, you know, play this gullible Papa Smurf figure that he's got going for himself.
and he was going to go back and reclaim his kingdom and create a Scientology country and new civilizations springing from South Africa. And that only lasted a few months when they threw him out of there too. He returned to England, and the British government was seeking to revoke his visa, or said
Quack,
that they would
quack,
not
quack.
renew his
All a
visa.
false pitch,
And
Mike
he went,
Rinder. You're full
okay,
of
the
shit.
only place that's really
You're
safe,
literally full of shit. Just
because the
all
U.S. government was
false
also,
pitch.
the FDA had raided the church in Washington, D.C., and, there was all sorts of problems with governments. He said, okay,
all sorts of problems with governments. It's called being a convicted, indicted felon, Mike Rinder, which you would have known what in the hell that meant. Us, the kids that grew up in these hotels, had no shred of a clue that L. Ron Hubbard was a convicted, indicted felon. Period. We had no clue what in the hell that meant, and y'all did have a clue. And by 1993, you definitely had a clue as the head of OSA that the person that you pitched as an American-bred god, your pro bono client, L. Ron Hubbard, who really does have you to thank for sanitizing his image and still sanitizing it in this PVD podcast number 191, The Truth About Scientology with Mike Rinder. Not great, you guys, that this man always manages to get these gullible, pathetic people, grifters that really are looking for a story, looking for a little quick podcast to make that YouTube revenue. And they all come up with the same thing. Oh, let's really tap the publicist of this disgusting convicted, indicted felon that normalized child trafficking of minors at an international scale, the size of Mount Vesuvius, to really tell us the truth. And they don't do the research. They don't know who in the hell L. Ron Hubbard is. And they just sit there listening to what is being said without a shred of pushback.
I'm going to become what he called Fabian, meaning I can't really be found. I'm going to be anywhere and everywhere. International waters, there's no government has jurisdiction over international waters. So
is that why you were sending Valeska, Gwaine, and his wife there to the free winds so that no one had any shred of jurisdiction? Is that why so many minors ended up being abducted into that disgusting asbestos-filled ship that y'all are calling the free winds? So that y'all can just be real Fabian over there. Oh yeah, let's really be Fabian because L. Ron Hubbard said it. So if L. Ron Hubbard said it, then we also should do it because what a great idea.
could go to a port, but if there's any problem, we can just sail out to sea and I'll be safe. Nobody can snatch me. I'm safe. So that is the reason that he originally went onto the Apollo and that's where the word Sea Organization comes from. The start of this was he took a few people from his home in St. Hill, the most dedicated Scientologists, took them with him, and that though they became like the crew of the ship and his assistants and messengers and flunkies, and that began the Sea Organization.
The children that were made his messengers. As if we literally don't have a book that talks all about how children were made the disgusting, indicted, convicted felon that you're goo gaga for, your literal daddy figure. Because again, you guys, everything that comes out of this man's mouth is so highly curated to sanitize the image of the convicted, indicted felon that he was all about propping up. And we're talking, this man has been out of Scientology for decades, and he really purports that he's going to blow the whistle at something. And he cannot help himself, but always, and he really went to the ship with a lot of people. We have photographs of children inside of that ship already, Mike Rinder. So maybe you were not a child because you were over 18. So good. I guess it doesn't suck to be you because you were over 18, right? I mean, I guess you were so old and you really didn't know what in the hell you were doing. Or maybe you weren't. You were definitely groomed, just like all of us as children were by our own parents. The ones that were benefactors of the child trafficking transaction done either with L. Ron Hubbard, like your parents, or like mine, with you and the rest of your disgusting executive Scientology buddies. including but not limited to Debbie Disgusting Cook, who cashes checks as we speak. She doesn't speak like you. Marty and Debbie decided, you know what? I'm going to really shut the F up. As long as I continue to get paid by the 501c that I used to work for, and I really used to pretend that was mine, and I was owner and part owner of these hotels because I was a slave owner of kids. But you took a different route. You took the route of, I'm really going to, tell everybody what this is really all about. Let's really get into the truth about Scientology.
Organization, which I then joined in 1973. That was in 1967 he started up.
So what was unique about his personality? Like, for somebody to say, from washing windows to doing this, and if you got a headache, here's how to get rid of a headache, and you hit your, you kind of gradually go through this, and if you're going through this part, everything had a system to it on what he wrote about, and how many PhDs he had, and how many degrees he had, and the controversy behind the degrees that he had.
Well, he didn't have any.
What I mean, there is two stories you hear about. You hear about the amount he has, and you hear about he had none.
But the truth is he had none. He flunked out of George Washington University. He did not finish. Okay, you ask about Hubbard.
And you knew that. You knew that all along, Mike Rinder. And now, yes, today you were saying in that day that, he didn't have any. But guess what, you guys? Our parents did go by the pitch that, he was an atomic researcher. I mean, that's what I was told as a child, you guys. Said, everyone, Hubbard is so great, Serge. He's an atomic researcher. He was a Boy Scout. He did so much. He was so smart. He had an IQ of this. He had an IQ of that. So, yeah, now you're telling him that he had nothing, but all the idiots that bought the pitch that Mike Rinder sold to them, including but not limited to all Scientology parents who have dumped their kids inside of these hotels, really do go with the pitch that L. Ron Hubbard was and is and had all manner of certificates and all manner of stuff. And then if anybody ever questioned it, they're like, oh, no, you just don't know. You just don't know. Oh, no, that's just because people want to be mean to L. Ron Hubbard.
Hubbard was a larger-than-life character, a storyteller. If there is one word I would use to describe Hubbard, it's storyteller.
Well, so are you. Apparently, you did learn that from this convicted, indicted felon. How to sound like Papa Smurf, how to look like Papa Smurf, how to really have a granola look, how to sanitize and spin. Because, yeah, how great it is to have a person that really tells a story. That's called confidence. Confidence men. Con men. You would know a thing or two about that, Mike Rinder, as you sit there with a lot of confidence, pitching Hubbard as this, pitching Hubbard as that. And he really was a larger-than-life figure. Who made that disgusting child normalizer of abuse that sold you and the rest of your buddies the pitch? Kids are adults in small bodies. They are ageless spirits. They've been around forever. So, use them in whatever hell way you want. Because that's what in the hell you really need to be explaining today to the entirety of America. So call Dan Harris from ABC News and tell him that you want to talk to him about that specific pitch that's being brought up right now in this year 2024, 74 years later. 74 years later from disgusting L. Ron Hubbard selling disgusting pitches.
Bullshitter, that could be another one, but storyteller.
Could be. I mean, you guys, he cannot put the bone down. That's what in the hell this is giving, Mike Rinder. He could have been a bullshitter. Could have, would have, should have.
Is the more sort of appropriate because
storyteller is the more sort of appropriate. Wink. I mean, you guys, he literally just winked.
His history in life was writing fiction. He was a fiction writer, a pulp fiction writer.
AKA a bullshitter, Mike Rinder.
he developed a skill of presenting stories to people that are very entertaining.
Well, y'all go check out Mike Rinder's content and see if he's not entertaining and telling a whole bunch of stories for himself. Because nice of you to project on L. Ron Hubbard that, you know, he was just selling a bunch of stories, because I think you really did get that from him, to sell a bunch of stories and to tell a bunch of stories and just grift on the stories that you tell.
And many of those stories are about himself. And many of them are completely and utterly untrue. And he developed.
You knew that. And you knew that. Y'all had the research. Y'all had the facts. Y'all were constantly being told by the press, isn't L. Ron Hubbard not a graduate of university? No, he is. Y'all at the press are trying to shit on him and really going after him because he really did worked out the technology to save the world. So again, you put a lot of distance on things that you had first-hand knowledge of. So where's the distance? Where's the plausible deniability? You literally had FaceTime with the man. You really literally had a front row seat at the dysfunction. And instead of stopping it, instead of calling him out, instead of saying like, you know what? You went and doubled down and tripled down and quadrupled down and got your little daddy figure out of his grave and went around paying all manner of attorneys, because all that disgusting money that L. Ron Hubbard had done with fraud is what the blood money that these attorneys were cashing for themselves so they could write a fake pitch and put their law licenses all behind you, Marty and Dave. Imagine being those attorneys, you guys, that literally put their law license behind Mike Rinder. Imagine putting a literal client relationship with a disgusting man that cannot help but sanitize and spin.
A sort of a persona for himself as a war hero and like all these things that actually are not true.
Oh, wow. Thanks for telling us the obvious.
He then, at the end of the war, he was in the U.S. Navy. He had a very indistinguished career in the United States Navy, despite the fact he subsequently claimed that he was a war hero. He had Purple Hearts. He was injured. He was a ship captain.
Again, you guys, L. Ron Hubbard was a pathetic, dying, degenerate, drugged out of his mind in a trailer, Mike Rinder. So who went around telling people that? Because you know what? We have the evidence to prove that your yapping is bullshit. As if you didn't literally make a museum called the L. Ron Hubbard Life Exhibition. As if you didn't tap Miriam Francis. So look how this is coming all full-blown circle, you guys. Miriam Francis, mother, to come and paint a little thing here of L. Ron Hubbard where he really wants to show the people that he really cares. This man is the one that tapped Miriam Francis' mom to come and do all the artwork for that disgusting museum that y'all have already, seen. If you've seen any of my lives when we go audit that disgusting building, the Hollywood Guaranteed building. So who said those lies, Mike Rinder? You were the head of that operation. So you really want to blame it all on L. Ron Hubbard? Well, you know what? That's going to be hard to do given that he was dead. That's going to be hard to do given that he was a full-blown, degenerate drug addict that died on a trailer that you were all about knowing. I mean, who was aiding and abetting him hiding to not see the authorities in France? Who was aiding and abetting in him getting hidden from the authorities that were looking to ask him some questions in the United States? Who put him in that ranch? Who had communication? I don't know if you did, but you know what? Clarify that. Did you not help L. Ron Hubbard evade getting interviewed and questioned? Did you help L. Ron Hubbard become, what is it, amphibious or whatever in the hell you called it, that no one can come and grab him? Somebody did. Somebody did do that. So by all means, there's plenty of you that were working on of these disgusting stuff. So you didn't do it all, but you definitely did bring Miriam Francis's mom all over from Australia to put all of these false pitches. And again, you guys, for you have not taken a tour of that disgusting museum, you know, breaking news. Yes, that's what it was. L. Ron Hubbard, the Boy Scout. L. Ron Hubbard, the war military, whatever, Purple Heart that really wanted to help everybody. L. Ron Hubbard here with the Indians, really getting a lot of training for himself.
Then he was this, he was that. Like the stories of his exploits in World War II, you know, should be the subject of a movie if any of them were true.
Of a movie? Should be the subject of a RICO investigation, not a movie. These people just are obsessed with movies, obsessed with Hollywood, obsessed with fame, obsessed with getting pitched as some sort of grandiose, larger-than-life people. That's what this was all about inside Scientology, you guys. If you were very famous a la Lizzie Moss, if you were very famous a la Tom Cruise, if you're really famous a la Laura Prepon, Michael Pena, pick your celebrity of literal choice. If you're famous like that, then you're great, you're wonderful, you're larger than life. Because yes, Hollywood sells that dream of people being so special as soon as they show up in a screen in a movie. And so all of a sudden everyone's like, oh my God, aren't you so special? Aren't you so magical? Shouldn't we just all worship you right about now?
But they're not.
Huh.
So he then came upon this thing of, I'm going to cure myself of the injuries he claimed he would.
So you guys, literally, I mean, y'all can see or not see the rest of this pathetic interview. And there's plenty of interviews, thanks to Mike Rinder, that he's used to pitch himself as a truth teller with a full-blown straight face that he has. So we are questioning that narrative that's been put on the public record for us to literally question, Mike Rinder, because yes, contrary to your beliefs, you can be questioned. That is part of the First Amendment right. You can be asked questions. You can be, you know, when things don't make sense, you can go, well, here you are on the public record saying this. Why are you saying this? Here you are claiming this. Why are you claiming this when nothing makes a shred of sense? Why did you abduct Miriam Francis's mom from Australia to sanitize and cleanse L. Ron Hubbard's image with a disgusting museum, L. Ron Hubbard's life exhibition, which you would have known was just a disgusting lie? You are responsible for ensnaring Miriam's childhood. And it's not just Miriam, you guys. She's got two brothers, two other really young brothers that Laura and I know very well. Brothers that were also trafficked all the way to Florida to work, to be slaves of Debbie Cook. One of them is out. The other one is still stuck in there. And Mike Rinder is pressed that he's being asked for affidavits to support justice for Miriam, who has been told she doesn't deserve a shred of it. And now, thanks to Mike Rinder not providing, not contributing, not collaborating, not wanting to advocate, like Rabbit said the other day, it's like they are all about collecting the Emmy. They're all about, being interviewed and being postured and being positioned and being admired. That's all they give an F about. Oh, admire me. Tell me how special I am, because L. Ron Hubbard did tell me I was very special. Well, nobody cares. Nobody literally gives an F about anyone's specialness. No one of us that grew up in this disgusting hotel want to be told we are special. We want to have our day in literal court so we can be heard on the merits of the facts, not on these delusions that you've been out there selling and that America's been buying, Mike Rinder. So literally call up Ford Green. Tom Ford would be like, what? No, literally called your little attorney, general counsel that's very, actually here, let's go. Let's look up what Mike Rinder has done to this attorney. Ford Green, sometimes called Ford Green, is an American attorney, political leader, and 3 times mayor of San Jacinto, California. Green is noted for having successfully conducted litigation against the Church of Scientology and the Unification Church of the United States. He's also a deprogrammer. Well, you know what? Maybe he can deprogram you, Mike Rinder. Ask him to do that. That would be great. Green is serving his 4th term as an elected San Antonio Town Council member, and he was voted for the position of mayor in 2010 to 2015 and 19. Litigation against Scientology. Green has represented a number of claims against the Church of Scientology in Wolversheim versus the Church of Scientology of California. He was part of a team that was represented former Scientologist Lawrence Wolversheim and successfully sued for emotional distress. Wolversheim had been a member of the Church of Scientology for over a decade, leaving in 1979, and sued the church the following year. The court case was heard in 1986. Wolversheim had been a supervisor in Scientology's elite Sea Org. Oh, isn't that great, you guys? I was a supervisor there too. And isn't that great that I have no case? And isn't that great that an adult, grown-ass person that did sign up for this did get heard in a court of law? That is really, really great. Because, this is what in the hell you call a precedent. His duties included recruiting celebrities to Scientology. Celebrities, you guys. Isn't that great, Elizabeth Moss, that you've been recruited because your daddy was also working there with Chick Corea, who was also recruited? The case resulted in $2.5 million judgment that grew into $8.7 million payout due to accumulated interest over 20 years of litigation. In New York's Village Voice newspaper in 2008, Green commented, "If I had been shown in court that 350 organizations of the Church of Scientology were all controlled by David Miscavige, it doesn't look like a legitimate religion, but an authoritative cult that is. It would have been terrible public relations, and they still would have had to pay the money. And that's why they paid the money when they did, to avoid bad PR." So, yeah, Ford Green, nice turnaround for you. And again, you guys, I've spoke to Ford Green, Attorney Ford Green. Please listen to me, Attorney Ford Green. Please know that no one is standing up for kids inside of those hotels, that we were locked up against our will inside of those hotels, that our passports were systemically confiscated, Attorney Ford Green, that we were used as minors, that we were brought from other countries, Attorney Ford Green. Okay, great, bye. So you can really explain yourself, Attorney Ford Green, because apparently getting paid to avoid PR is all it took for you and your little adult client that I guess did want a little payout for himself and his distress. We don't give a shred of an F about payouts of distress, you guys. Let's make sure that that is literally clear AF, because we're sick and tired of being told, well, don't you want to just get an attorney? We don't give a shred of an F about an attorney. We need a criminal investigation. We need the felonies perpetrated on minors inside of these hotels to be dealt with, not whitewashed with more blood money. What good is it to get paid $8 million? What in the hell are we going to do with $8 million collected with blood money? Mined out of minors that are there today doing what they had us doing to avoid PR problems? And weren't you part of this litigation, Mike Rinder? Weren't you part of that? Weren't you literally fair gaming Ford Green in all of this, or not? Because I don't know how much money the aftermath must be paying him to be the general counsel. It would be great to understand that for ourselves right about now. Some of Scientology's highest ranking members have disagreed with Green in print interviews. Carl Whelan, director of external affairs of the Church of Scientology Office of Special Affairs, AKA one of your minions, right, Mike Rinder? Or was this Kurt Whelan much higher? Scientology's vice president of communications and a member of the organization's board of directors. So were you a board of director too, Mike Rinder, or not? Has stated, we don't react kindly to attempts to extort money from the church, especially if it's done through lies and allegations by people like Ford Green. Hendrik Moxon, Scientology's lead counsel, gathered information on Green as part of what he termed a simple standard check. Green also successfully represented Raul Lopez against the church. Lopez had sustained partial brain damage in an auto accident and turned to Scientology, subsequently donated or investing most of his $1.7 million accident settlement money to the church. So there you go, Ford Green. Why in the hell are you ensnared in this aftermath, defending and coming to the rescue? In what world did you not do a shred of due diligence for yourself? In what world can you really just forget the little conversation that you and I had, where you were told what children are being put through? But I guess we don't have any rights in this country, you guys. No matter how many civil attorneys we talk to, they always tell us the same thing. Oh no, everything is over for y'all. You really should have had better luck next lifetime. In another lifetime, you will get that. Well, again, breaking news. We don't have no shred of use for a civil matter. I mean, as if this is really a civil matter. Look what they do. And this is all it's taken, you guys, for all attorneys in the United States to go, oh no, I wouldn't want to be there litigating for 20 years because you know what? That would be very inconvenient for my law firm. So you know what? Better luck next lifetime. And again, in what world are we supposed to be really expecting that the civil courts are going to solve anything for kids where felonies were perpetrated by our parents and by all of these executives that treated us as pawns in a scheme not appropriate for children? Also, they could support their delusion of their literal daddy figure, convicted, indicted felon that they all worship. I mean, yes, there's a lot of worshiping of L. Ron Hubbard, you guys. Don't cross L. Ron Hubbard. Really listen to what he has to say. Really pay for it. Pay. That's called put your money where your literal mouth is. And all Scientology parents have put their money where the literal mouth is. And they've also put their children there where they could get cash incentives to not have to pay for schools, to not have to pay for anything to do with bringing up their kids, you know, because why do that when I can pay these hotels to raise my level? Because yes, our parents were strapped for cash. Not everyone's like a rich people that has all the money like Elizabeth Moss that can just write off $1 million. Like Nancy Cartwright that can go, here's $10 million. Let me go call my business manager. Can we offset my taxes by paying these $10 million inside of those hotels? You know, because I'd rather not pay the IRS and I'd rather give this to these hotels because then all of a sudden I'm going to get all manner of perks, right, Nancy Cartwright? Or do you get nothing out of it? As if you haven't been propping up those hotels for God knows how long you have. And you've had eyeballs inside of the hotels. And we just caught you coming out of Celebrity Center, Jessica Palmedesa, and you all, oh yeah, this is great, da da da. God bless. So this is where we are. This is where we literally are, Mike Rinder. All your lies coming undone. You're being confronted on the literal things that you put on the public record, which is all we have. It's the only way we can exercise our First Amendment right, which y'all taught us to not have. That thanks to Streets LA, literally a father who has no kids subjected to this hotel, had to show us. I mean, as Liz Gale just brought it up, it was him that started showing us, oh my God, I can go to a public street and I can question things. Oh my God. Prior to that, we were literally dissuaded from ever bringing up anything because just leave it up to Mike Rinder. He's really going to save us all. Really, the top of this literal hotel sham, as if we don't have a duplicate org board. Claire Headley, where were you? RTC, before Scientology. Where are you now? You're RTC Aftermath, the top. Aren't you so proud to be like Dave? You're now the COB. Osa Wosa is Mike Rinder again because he cannot help himself. He loves that little position of posturing and sanitizing. It comes so natural to you. So there's Osa at the Aftermath. There's Mark Headley, the gold producer of documentaries. And the other two, useful idiots that are just being used in whatever way they need to vote out whoever in the hell they want to vote out. And then Ray Jeffrey, let's not forget, Debbie Cook's literal attorney that secured a nice payment for that woman. And yes, Ray Jeffrey, you and I also had a little conversation when Marty Rathbun effed you up. And I told you, yeah, Ray Jeffrey, watch out with Marty Rathbun. You don't know this because I'm sure he didn't tell you this. What he did to me, what he was doing to minors inside of those hotels that him and Debbie were running. Bye. I mean, little did I know, you guys, that it was so inappropriate for me to be having those conversations with the attorney of Debbie Cook. Little did I MF know, because this was way back years ago when I just thought the law was call up an attorney and tell him what in the hell, and then they're going to know what to do based on the law. I mean, that's what I thought. I mean, how naive and gullible and pathetic was I? To be having conversations with Ray Jeffrey, to be having conversations with Ford Green, thinking that, yes, somebody was going to help kids if they found out what in the hell was going on. But no, in America, nobody wants to help kids. That is what is in the literal record. Jeffrey Epstein's victims, all investigations bungled. USA Gymnastics teams, all their investigations bungled. I mean, if it isn't for public pressure, nothing is done. If it isn't because, oh, politicians, okay, let's really back this issue, you guys, so really we get reelected again. Where's the incentive to do things because on their merit, they are disgusting? Nowhere. If there's no incentive, if I'm not getting something out of it, then you know what? Better luck next lifetime is all we are ever stuck with these people playing Dumb and Dumber. Nothing can be done about it. The Constitution is shredded because a convicted, indicted felon wrote on a piece of paper that kids were adults. And all of these disgusting degenerates went and ran with that pitch and took it to a level of extremes that is so unpalatable. We don't even need to talk about it right now because it would make us all puke and vomit. In what world are you not vomiting, Mike Rinder? In what world are you not disgusted? That's what we need to know. In what world are you living with this level of delusionary spin that is helping who? It's helping you. It's helping Dave. It's helping Marty Rathbun. It's helping Debbie Cook. It's helping all of you disgusting people that conspired in your racketeering scheme in that world. And yes, by all means, oh yeah, Serge, you're really libeling me. Well, yes, can't wait to see you and go through discovery. Can't wait for that day to happen. And you know, since Ford Green has already argued on their side and really knows all about how the Scientology can really work, maybe he can come up with a pitch on how I'm legally so wrong, how we're all so stupid to think that, you know, kids cannot be brought into those hotels, abused with full impunity, record it all, transcribe it all, make money on it. And that's what America has as laws, you guys. That's the country that has the best legal system in the whole world. It's kind of like what they pitch. My God, America has such great legal system, you guys. This is called legal malfeasance AF. If the literal Constitution, something that I never studied, given that I wasn't born in this country, if the literal Constitution says slavery was abolished, how in the literal hell is it thriving, alive, and well today? Because that's what we need to understand now. We don't want to go to law school. We don't give a shred of an F about being taught in a courtroom. Nothing. We were locked up in disgusting courtrooms. Enough. We cannot stand that anymore. We literally couldn't care less about that. We only care to have our questions answered with something that makes a shred of sense. And apparently that's too much to ask, because we're going to be downgraded to be told that we're fleas, that we're keyboard warriors, that we're just disgruntled people, that we're apostates, that we're all manner of insults to what? To Darbo. These predators love to have their fangs stuck in kids, and they don't want to be told no. They don't want to be told, wait up. They don't want to be told, hold up. In fact, they grab the Constitution and says, look, the Constitution says we can do whatever in these hotels. And just like that, they go, LAPD, shut the F up and get the hell out, because you cannot have a single opinion about what we do inside the hotels, that we don't let you to see what in the hell we're doing. But who's paying y'all's salary, LAPD leadership? Is it Mike Rinder and the rest of his executive buddies that were part of those hotels? Or who? The taxpayers. Do we not pay you enough, FBI? Does the American taxpayer not pay you enough? Are your salaries six-figure plus for any low, regular, schmegular cop that shows up for every false detention of literal protesters exercising a right that we do have last time we checked the Constitution, a right that we do have last time we've checked all the footage we've kept on ourselves to be like, hi guys, here we are. Where's the GUNs? Where's the BOMBs? Nowhere. But y'all show up quickly. Now they're calling the fire department, you guys. I mean, what else? What else? How lawless is America is what in the hell we're asking. How lawless is this city? Los Angeles and Clearwater, the top centers of these disgusting trafficking scheme operations. Never mind that they're also worldwide. This is a worldwide ranging racketeering scheme, has a huge center in Australia, has a huge center in South Africa. So wonderful, South Africa. It's great that y'all in South Africa are also making child slavery great again. Because y'all have no history with child slavery. Y'all have no history knowing what in the hell happens when white entitled males get given full unfettered access to do whatever in the hell they want, because all it took is for them to look like Papa Smurfs with granola looks, and then all of a sudden no one sees anything. Oh my God, no, you must be very prominent. You must be very, sophisticated, because that's all it took. So talk so sophisticated. Well, yeah, we're not sophisticated. We don't give an F. We've had just about enough. We've waited literally till this day in the year 2024 when, I'm now 45 years old and this is what I have. And I'm not filtering. I'm not checking. I'm not doing anything. I'm asking questions. We deserve answers. Y'all deserve answers. Citizens of the United States, it's y'all's hotels, because y'all are paying for it, whether you want to or not. Whether you want to or not, every Angelino in this city is now ensnared in propping up these hotels. So make that make sense, Karen Bass. Because you have known, you even talked to Mike Rinder. So if he scammed you and he schemed you, well, join the club of many people that have fallen for his BS. Join that club real quick and rein your goddamn LAPD in. Go talk to the leadership. Don't just let that guy walk out and, oh my God, the chief of police is really resigning. Make sure the next one is not in on the corruption and the scheme. Because this is on y'all. This is on y'all, the ones that really want to be elected to be whatever offices of power you want to hold, to really purport that the cities run on laws and not on lawless, reckless racketeering and trafficking of minors from all manner of countries that should have never ended up inside of those hotels. So let's go through some chats, you guys, because I do want to hear what y'all have to say with this. This is always the calm down. I mean, and I do acknowledge, you guys, that the more I went through this, I thought, oh, I did yoga this morning. I calmed down, I centered and I ground, but I'm outraged. I'm outraged and disgusted, as I see that all of this dysfunction is just goes on and on and on. And it's just like, whatever, just another day in America for all of us. B, I would like to tell you, sirs, that you're a hero. You speak truth and you show your pain. Much love for standing up against those who are out to destroy victims they should be helping. Thank you, B. That's very nice. Thank you. Arn Von Hallen, we love you, Serge. Thank you, Arn. Thank you so much, you guys. It's very sweet. Cookie Monster, Scammer Patrick Bet David is also chummy with his frequent guests Sammy Grabano and Michael Francis, former leaders of the literal mafia. Well, it makes sense, right? I have no idea who this Patrick guy is, you guys, but I did see that he had written stuff about, like, he had this guy that talked about trafficking kids and how the trafficking could be stopped. And there are men that I've seen, and we covered that already the other day, of this guy that talked about it, that understand this problem, that have been to see how kids are so gullible, manipulatable, and then they get ensnared in unthinkable things, and it's those type of people that have, again, set the stage for us to question, because we've seen that it does exist, that advocacy for kids does exist, that not every adult is just goo goo gaga for L. Ron Hubbard and we're gonna just have a jolly old time. Cookie Monster, Ford Green did some good stuff back in the day. It's sad to see him send such a disgusting letter. Yeah, it's utterly gross. Hi, Marty Girl. Thank you for being here. Hi, Mary Kay. Hi, Christina Perez. Hi, Janet. Farrell, Cheryl. I love you guys' names. They're so funny. Like, I always feel like... Hi, Pearl Snappy. Thank you so much for supporting us and holding this space. All of y'all have given us this, you know, this strength. So we're all counting on you guys, and we really do appreciate it. Hi, Kenya75. Mary Sutters. If Mike Rinder didn't have anything to hide, why didn't he just email Rabbit and tell her either what she wanted or why he didn't want to answer? I mean, you know, that's right, you guys. I mean, that's literally what Liz was just talking about in her live. It's like, this is giving, something is not smelling, like there's like a fish rotting here, and it's no longer behooves nobody to play into this, because, you know, again, it's like there are real kids implicated. We have seen that for ourselves. And the fact that I've seen that now, the fact that we've caught that on tape, the fact that I understand that every dysfunction, every horrendous, disgusting abuse that we had to withstand as kids and are here, you know, literally on the flip side of it all, I mean, it's a miracle. It's a literal miracle that we are on this side of this conversation now. Mike Rinder hasn't even had a moment of real reconciliation while he just had near-death illness scare. It probably never happened, you know, and it's sad. It's so sad, Hillary, because again, you know, they do have the power to stop it, you guys. With all the information that I have, I was a peon at the bottom of this barrel. So anything I say, they know. And everything I say, they have 100 other examples to know how that was done. You know, and nobody's sitting here in judgment of how disgusting and deranged they were. If only they could really tell on themselves and go and tell the FBI, Crimes Against Children, what's being done. And don't leave those offices until they stop it. Don't just say, oh, I gave you some information, hopefully you figure it all out, because that's just not good enough. I mean, with that level of incorrect estimation of effort, you guys, which is a term that they use in those hotels, you know, it's not the correct estimation of effort, right? So if you have a problem that's this big and you're giving it this much attention, well, what's ever going to change? What's ever going to be different about it? The lack of empathy and covering up atrocities to children is because they are childless, or are they trying to create their own mini cult? I mean, Anita, they have kids. Mike Rinder's kids were left behind. Literally. And yes, the OSA proteges that Mike Rinder left behind turned them against him. But, you know, his kids also have real things to be complaining about their dad, just like all of us do. You know, Mike Rinder is one of the club of deadbeat parents that have literally no defense. That's what in the hell it's called. They could have had a defense. They could have literally had a defense. All they would needed is hotels are shut down. So everyone calm down. We all made a horrendous, disgusting choice for ourselves as adults. We all literally ensnared and scammed everyone involved. We take it back. Here's our actions speaking louder than words. Here's the hotels getting shut down. But what do we get? Oh, a new one's coming up in Austin. So where is them feeling a shred of remorse for anything? And like we just said, even a near-death experience wasn't good enough to be like, well, you know what? Let me not go with this secret to my grave. Well, apparently the universe and karma is visiting you in many ways that you didn't even think was going to visit you, Mike Rinder. You can't comprehend Mike's response. It was disgraceful. If you can help a victim, it's really important that you do. All reasonable people realize this. We just don't understand. Thank you, Anita. That's right. And again, you guys, like Mike Rinder, what's not known is that he handpicked Miriam's mom to be joining the Sea Org. So he couldn't be more involved and personally implicated. I mean, Mike Rinder is the Debbie Cook of Miriam. Imagine that. Had Mike Rinder not decided to prop up a fake museum for himself in Hollywood in front of stars of the sidewalk, then at least Miriam wouldn't have been in the Sea Org. Maybe her dad would have still done something horrific, but then maybe she would have still had the chance to, get some justice, because maybe she wouldn't have had a whole apparatus propped up by Mike Rinder, ran by Mike Rinder, to destroy any type of justice she could have gotten for herself. Because again, Mike Rinder, you're being questioned now on the merits of the facts and the fact that this was systemic, institutional, that y'all did stuff with impunity, that y'all had the best attorneys on speed dial, and somehow the self-admitted felons were never brought to justice. And we have the receipts to prove it. It's called go and check with the LAPD how many self-admitted felons that were abusing minors. Just stick to that one fact. Just that crime. Like, never mind all the other ones that you laundered for profit as well. We don't give a shred of an F. If the IRS was scammed, we don't give a literal shred of an F about that. But we do care about minors. So let's just start with that one. And let's not leave that one, because those are the guys that got screwed up the worst. Do not give up. Do not slow down. Odd that this is the same week COS changed grief tactics towards the protesters. Grief tactics without protesters. COS feeling the pressure. Thank you, you guys. And thank you for continuing to, support us, because this is the reason that we are literally, carrying on with this, because, we see that people do care. We see that people do understand that there is a ton of advocacy that needs to be done for kids that have never been advocated for, that kids that have been put in harm's way and been told you deserve that, because in these hotels, we can't get away with it, because in these hotels, the LAPD will come to our rescue. They've always seemed like their behaviors mirror Scientology too much still. That's right, Hannah. And it's been, 18 years? In 18 years, you still cannot connect anything? And again, it's like, it's literally even that, the grifting. How much money have you made purporting that you're really going to do something about the problem, Mike Rinder? How much money is in your pocket? How much money is in your pocket, Debbie Cook? How much money is in your pocket, Marty Rathbun and Angie Blankenship? How much blood money are y'all comfortable cashing for yourselves? Because that's what the community wants to understand right now. It's called blood money. When you literally exploit children and you make money off of their work, out of exploiting their naivete, that's called blood MF money. So how dare you sit there with a straight face, collecting on that blood money and nowhere to be found to actually do something to help. I'm sorry that your parents and other adults fail you this way. Take your pain and turn it into purpose. That's right, you guys. It's like, it's all part of the lemonade. And again, we are very, very, very blessed and grateful that, we are turning this pain into purpose, because, we only wish somebody would have been making those points for us outside of those hotels as we were getting scammed. And I've talked to plenty of these kids that, have all had the fantasy of being saved, had all had the fantasy of having the authorities intervene and say, hey, kids, you got to get out of here. Out. The FBI is here. No kids can be here. Bye-bye. Out. Then they can speak to the adults. They can have adult conversations. Those adults can go hire advocates for themselves. They're called criminal attorneys that these adults can pay for themselves to, sort out their mess. Even Scientology admitted it was a mistake to let admitted child do amends by teaching students in isolated camps and watching more kids as punishment. Yeah, well, you know what? If they did that, I don't know about that, Paris. I don't really see any really official repudiation. And if they did, it was all just a lie, because they could have only repudiated that from getting caught, because we're literally at the very tip of the iceberg. This was systemic and institutional. It wasn't any type of one-offs. Devil's advocate here, sort of. There is such a thing as redemption. Paul executed Christians before becoming an advocate for those he victimized. Maybe Rinder needs time. No, Tim, absolutely not. And I get it. Devil's advocate. It's like, we don't need more time. The kids get abused on a daily basis. And we're not just waiting here hoping that little Winder will come to his senses. Literally, like, no one has time for that. Nobody has time. If they haven't done it for 18 years, if he's still really done it now, and then it's why are you doing it now? Because now you had a cognition, because now you want to get your ethics in. It's called getting their ethics in. And they did teach us that little phrase inside of those hotels. They told us that if you don't get your ethics in, then justice needs to come and put that in for you. Well, justice is nowhere to be found. And that's, big part of the problem. Patrick Bet David. Thank you, Cookie Monster. So that's the guy that interviewed Mike Rinder and that missed all of Mike Rinder's withholds. Thank you, Seor got it. Rinder used Scientology tactics to get Rabbit to stay out of it with Miriam. Wrong move, Rinder. Go read a book. Perhaps the name of it should be Scientology for Dummies. I mean, transparency is needed, period. It's literally period, full stop. I donated to that fake foundation too, but when they did that to Aaron, I wrote probably one of the nastiest letters I've ever written and will never donate to them again. Yeah, I understand, B. All of these 501c that can really scam you is literally outrageous, because it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that you take people wanting to make a difference, wanting to help, and then you betray them in such outrageous ways. Like, that's not okay. That's just not okay. And it's getting called out, and it needs to be, because everyone gets scammed, and then we all need advocates, because it's like we all need to be like, hey, that's not okay. Is this a new interview worth Rinder? I might miss that earlier. Just curious. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you guys. The pitch pretty much stays the same. So every time they speak, they pretty much always talk about the same sanitized, approved talking points. They're all short stories, right, Mike Rinder? The storyteller that you are, you're full of short stories. Always have a way to, L. Ron Hubbard, I wouldn't have called him a bullshitter, but I would have called him a storyteller. Seriously? Seriously, like, your child is stuck in a hotel. Your child's hate your guts, but you really went with L. Ron Hubbard was not really a bullshitter, but a storyteller. Standing out against continuation of wrong innocence does not preclude forgiveness. Both can be done. Change is essential to repentance. Otherwise, repentance is useless. I mean, that's what we're talking about, repentance, you guys. We're talking about, like, damn, I really effed up. Damn, I really need to do the heavy lifting. Damn, I'm really going to go have to contribute to a criminal case, not just blab to the FBI and tell them what I want them to hear so that they really take pity of my poor little self. He's been given more than enough time to make reparations for his criminal behavior, and he hasn't delivered. Everything he touches is contaminated, in my own opinion. And we're supposed to have and allowed to have our own opinion. You guys, we are allowed to have that. And no matter how much insults they hurl at us, keyboard warriors and fleas and everything, like, you know, it's just so infantile. Like, again, this is serious. Like, what we're doing here is serious. All of you guys tuning into all of this dysfunction, it's like it's an insult to your time to sit here and grift and tell you, oh, once upon a time, Tom Cruise, let's really talk about that. Because, you know, aren't we all, like Rabbit said, it's like, you know, nobody cares about the celebrities that have so many resources to figure out their life. The regular schmegulars don't have the resources. Miriam has not had the resources. And imagine, you know, I think Rabbit also made a very good point that, you know, Miriam gave you the story. She was a contributor on a show that you got paid for. So in what world did you get paid to do that show? And then all of a sudden you're nowhere to be found to provide an affidavit. Like, affidavits, you guys, are not just any old record that you go, oh, here's an affidavit, let me just trash it. Especially when, you know, there's all manner of lawsuits being hurled, fair game lawsuits that Leah Remini is filing for herself. And they did get paid for all of it. And they know how much they got paid. And you know what? It wasn't just nothing. Right, Leah? You didn't just get paid nothing. So why in the hell have you not provided that affidavit? How in the hell do you not have it? How in the hell has your legal department lost it? How in the hell does A&E make money on all these stories, and what? Now y'all can provide a simple affidavit to contribute to a criminal ongoing investigation? How much money did y'all really make? Because that would be really great to understand. Because maybe y'all got paid $5, and then you could say, well, you know, we didn't think it was that serious. We got paid $5 just, like, you know, to really want to help the people that we were all giving a microphone to. Never mind that there's plenty of people that didn't get a shred of help, you guys, and we're going to get into that very soon. The people that got told, no, you cannot be in this show because, you know, maybe, you know, Mikey Rinder is not going to look goody woody. So no. Imagine being the idiots at A&E that really did go with the pitch. Mike Rinder would be a great person to do this with. That's probably why he signed up for the Aftermath show. It offered him some protection. Yeah, it offered them to launder their image, you guys. That's what this has been. A&E showed up. They said, okay, Scientology stories really do make a lot of money. Scientology stories do make a lot of money for Disney. Disney owned A&E. Do parents, guardians have a form that they sign to give away the rights to their child to an organization? I would like to, must be quite binding. Well, there was some sort of paperwork that they signed, you guys. I mean, we wouldn't have known when my parents signed me up to these people. We had a routing form to arrive into the Sea Org, which was just like sheets and sheets and sheets. Like, make sure you got this, make sure you got that, make sure you did this. And you had to sign every single aspect of it. So that's why we're saying the problem is institutional and systemic, and all done with impunity, because these people wrote it up on a piece of paper and then all of a sudden they go with, oh, we're doing everything very legal in this hotel, because it is on a piece of paper. Everyone here knows that the guy who is the host of this podcast scammed tons of people with an MLM, Patrick Bet David. Damn, Terez, I had no idea. Honestly, I had no idea. I literally just said, okay, let me grab up interview that Mike Rinder did. And then when I started seeing that they had this aspect of it, I was like, well, this is perfect, because here he is lying about who L. Ron Hubbard is and literally being his pro bono publicist. He spent time with LRH making kids clean for him. Mike made kids slaves. I mean, and it's like all of these executives had slave children, you guys. It didn't matter that this one looks granola like Debbie Cook. It didn't matter that someone would look granola like Angie Blankenship or all of Dave's proteges of RTC. They had to look really beautiful to really qualify to be there and do it. And then they all did it. They all called kids their juniors. And then they also made kids slave masters. I was a slave master as a supervisor, so-called supervisor. I was that too. I was the senior of all of these adults. I could yell at the adults. I could send someone to go wash dishes because they didn't make their target. I was expected to do so. If not, then they would have my head on a pike. That's how it worked in there. And we couldn't be more disgusted over that systemic, horrendous practice. Have you ever had John Travolta's son, Jet? Didn't he treat his absolucy with me? Yeah, commenter. It's like, I can't even talk about Jet right now because it's so horrific. I mean, my sister worked with John Travolta while this all happened. So I don't even have the bandwidth today to even approach it. But thank you for your question. My mom left Monique's church immediately when we learned about the abuse in the early 2000s. Scientology parents are different. Yeah, and I'm sure that there are instances of parents, waking up to the facts, learning what in the hell, and then doing the right thing. I mean, again, part of being scammed is being under that level of undue influence. And y'all have seen how Mike Rinder's been at it for a very long time. And he's been very convincing. And all of these adults and parents really did buy a lot of pitches from him. So if you were an adult that implicated your kids, but then did figure out what in the hell, and then you got him out and your kids are still good and everybody got okay, then that's great, But plenty kids haven't had that. So we have to juxtapose that. Leah better realize you've known the company you keep. Leah's character will be coming into question associating with MR. Well, to quote them on their literal thing, if you lie with dogs, you'll end up with fleas. So I think right about now, you guys, Leah needs to start checking herself for fleas. Shout out to all the mods and all your hard work. I see all of you commenting, and I really appreciate all of y'all's support, honestly. Serge, from my perspective, there's missing information and context regarding the letter, and only OSA benefits from the chaos the letter creates. So the whole thing is suspicious. I mean, it's so true. It's so suspicious. It's so ridiculous, you guys. Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, it doesn't make a shred of sense. I mean, this is a compliment. You're the best at a rant, LOL. Thank you, Ron. Thank you for holding space for our rants, you guys. I mean, we rant because we are passionate AF about this subject. So I appreciate that you guys are willing to hold space for it. I know that it's not easy. It's not easy, you guys, and no one is saying it is. So the fact that we're, discussing these things and again, it's so against humanity for us to think that kids get abused. I mean, there's nothing more nauseating and disgusting. I mean, Abuse of kids and animals. It doesn't get worse than that. There's nothing in the world more disgusting than those two things, because we understand the level of horrendous malevolence that comes from anybody implicating themselves in that. And if we cannot come to advocate for that, then what does it say about us? Because silence is complicity. Silence is complicity. If you're staying silent about it, if you're just figuring out ways so that you can feel really comfortable when you know that there's horrible things going on, then that means you're implicated. Or like what we said yesterday, you guys, mutual out roots. L. Ron Hubbard did teach that to the proteges. Mutual out roots means that you have all agreed on something that is not okay, but the fact that you all agreed together then normalizes that thing that was not okay. And then all of a sudden you all become blind to it. Well, that's why we're raising the alarm. That's why we're raising this. That's why we're saying what we're saying, because, we're sounding the alarm. We tried everything in our power to stop this. And 9 years later that I've left this people and this hotel and this experience and whatever, unfortunately, no guardrails are there for kids, and it wasn't safe for us to speak on our experience today. Because, you guys saw that, we were called fleas. We're called keyword warriors. Like, no. Yeah, this had a great live. And, again, you guys, thank you for supporting all of our individual personal opinions and viewpoints that we are allowed to have. This is actually, news to us. Hi, Nora. Yeah, Nora and I will be speaking on some stuff. Thank you so much for your support as well. Lithanda, I'm never in, but I will be here listening to all your voices and hold space for you until you finally get justice. Everyone here has your back. Thank you so much. We so much appreciate that, guys. It's all part of this recovery. And as much as you guys have our back, we have y'all's back too, because, it takes us seeing other survivors taking power so that we feel empowered to get that power. So the ones that lose are the predators, not the people that have survived and lived to tell. So shout out to all of you who are in these communities, also having survived your own plights, your own, system of corruption and all of that, because that can never be not acknowledged, because we know how much of that is part of this real community. How fast would DM pull MR under the bus with him if he ever got up on the stand? Again, you guys, it's called, they would all be throwing each other on a bus, but the one person that they all have to realize put them inside of a bus and then rolled over them, steamrolled them, and literally hammered them with a jackhammer is their daddy figure, L. Ron Hubbard. He's the one that normalized all of this unthinkable dysfunction. I worked at a psychiatric hospital and had many lawsuits from CCHR. We learned a lot about Scientology. None of it is good. I know, Dreamscape. I'm sorry that they did sue you, but that was a thing, you guys. Like, we would get told at the events, you guys, and Mike Rinder specifically, he was the head of OSA. We're really going to destroy psychiatry anytime, any day. Look what they did to the children. And imagine that, you guys. It just came to me. Imagine all of it was like, oh my God, they're drugging the children. They're doing all these horrible things. And no one's saying that they didn't do bad stuff, but, they really had it out for them. And now we're really saying that, while there can be unhinged, horrible psychiatrists, not every single one of them was. And we've landed in the offices of psychiatrists that weren't those people. So, Scientology's been out there really doing a lot of things. Hi, Culty Vibes. I thought they went into the Commodore's Messengers pretty young. Yes, Lori. The Commodore's Messenger is the most disgusting aspect, like the literal all of the messengers were always selected because they were young and they were told that they were the emissaries of L. Ron Hubbard. And adults that worked in those hotels and adults that paid to be in those hotels really went with the pitch. You're talking to L. Ron Hubbard when you're talking to a child, and you have to call the child a sir because the child is L. Ron Hubbard, is a literal extension of L. Ron Hubbard. So that's how the power dynamic imbalance flipped to the kids who were groomed to be, just power tripping AF, so many of them. Never heard Rinder advocate for the children that were abused. Rinder, we have so many questions for you. That's right, Mommers. And we're allowed to have questions, you guys. Don't feel bad because you have questions. Don't feel bad because things don't make sense. Predators want you to think that it's a really big problem that you have questions. And you know what? Questions are what is going to, literally ignite the critical thinking skills. And that's why predators don't want anyone to have a shred of critical thinking skill, because they just want to be told whatever in the hell you do, you have the right to do it, and leave everyone alone inside of those hotels to have their jolly old time and get to pay to be serviced by children. I mean, imagine that is the case. Yeah, Lara, Sammy and Ben. So those are two of Miriam's brothers brought to the Sea Org by Mike Rinder. And one of them made it out, and he's been on Laura's channel several times. The other one is still stuck there. And, both of his siblings do want him out. Both of his siblings would love to see him the hell out of that disgusting trafficking scheme he's ensnared in. So hopefully one day. Literally crying right now while I'm working. I know, you guys, this is not easy for any of us to have to go through it, but I mean, you guys' support and holding space, which is all that you can do to empower survivors. So for you, all of you empaths that hear this, just know all we're asking is for people to listen to us, hold space, become aware, share our message, share what you are all finding out. Do y'all's own research, double check things that are already on the public record, ask questions. That's part of advocacy, to become aware and to know. You don't have to take anything we say at face value. You can hear our firsthand testimony, but we're asking everyone to do y'all's own research. There's plenty of information there. All we can do is speak to the facts from where we saw them and what we were exposed to. And all of us as kids are literally in different, steps of our recovery. Recovery is messy. So no one can tell anyone else how to do it, how to sound, how to be, or what to say. So Alonso, in fact, most real whistleblowers are snuffed out of silence in some way. Do not expect reward for telling the truth. Only seek justice for victims. That's correct. We literally only want justice for the victims. We want justice for Miriam. We want justice for every last shred of child that was trafficked inside of these hotels by all of these executives. So even if they were there and left, they now are getting paid to not talk. Well, you know what? Double check if that really is going to be a great idea to just sit there playing dumb, because there's plenty of people that are asking the very good questions that need to be asked and advocating. Miriam's been waiting 7 years for answers from Mike Rinder. I mean, it's just never been okay to ask the questions, you guys. If they were going to be, you know, what, pressed or just going to be insulted that they're being asked those questions. And again, it's like, in what world were they pitching that the technology of L. Ron Hubbard, which is all an audit, which is all about asking unhinged questions, which is all about having no boundaries, acceptable? Because that's what's not making sense. Y'all did that as adults. Y'all sold that as a great technology. And now on the flip side, you don't want to have questions. You cannot take questions. No. Do you write down the names of the security guards that you know of? I'm working on having these security guards. I might not have really like the present time ones, but I'm sure we can do something about that, you guys. So the security guards are part of the slave master program. They're always extremely entitled at the top of the food chain, really. Mike with help till the statute of limitations runs out on his own crimes, in my opinion. Keep up the fight, Serge. We'll support you. Thank you, Reality Check. Cool name, Reality Check. Severe reality adjustment, you guys. That's what it's the hell we're doing. It's called SRA. In Scientology Hotels, they give you an SRA, a severe reality adjustment. Well, Mike Rinder, you are getting right now a literal severe reality adjustment. And if you thought that the statutes of limitations were going to run out, well, you know what? Who in the hell cares? We're not here to administer the justice ourselves. We're here to expose the facts, and whatever in the hell needs to be done by whoever in the hell has the power to enforce the laws is what we're actually calling out and asking for some help. Like Lauren Hill says, karma comes back to you good. I'm angry in all of this and people not doing just the normal moral thing. Keep coming. Yeah, karma is a thing, you guys. And it's just the yin and yang, the balance. It's like we're at this moment of time where we are literal adults that literally are asking adult questions about things that didn't make sense back in the day when we were children. And, you know, it couldn't be more of a wide ranging criminal racketeering conspiracy. All of our own parents are implicated in their own right, in their own way, in whatever in the hell they did. So Mike Rinder is a deadbeat dad. So is Pedro Gil. So is Phil Anderson. So is Ronnie Miscavige. So is all the Scientology parents that are not anywhere advocating or repudiating anything. They just must feel so happy they got out, and all of a sudden, you know, they're living it up with whatever type of delusion they tell themselves to not remember anything they did. With Leah Remini leaving the org, how does she trust Mike Rinder? All the best and love you, be you, and keep doing fantastic work. Yeah, well, that's the questions for you, Leah. You can answer that. Pipa, hi Pipa, thank you for your super chat. I'm outraged too, Serge. You've opened my eyes even wider. Thank you, Pipa. I mean, we're all rightfully outraged, especially again, you guys, because the subject of either child abuse or animal abuse, to take that naivete and that gullibility and exploit it, and to purport that, you know, everyone's on the same playing field, is just outrageous. It's literally just outrageous. Southern Mama. I think Mike is very remorseful, but he has so much to say to end this cult and rescue kids. It's too high a price for him to face. I know. And unfortunately, like I said, you guys, all it would have taken is for him to take the lead, for him to really show, for him to not be doing laundering of images, publicist that he is. And all he had to do was call himself out and really come with actual humility. But that's part of repenting. That's part of actually, you know, doing the heavy lifting. And there's no heavy lifting other than picking up an Emmy for himself and pitching himself as a victim in a scheme and a scam that he propped up, that he had a front row seat on, that he was on the boards of directors of that. Question for Mike Rinder. Has a withhold been missed? On the question, has a withhold been missed? Has anything been suppressed? Are you suppressing anything, Mike Rinder? On the question, has a withhold been missed? Has anything been invalidated? Are you invalidating the abuse of kids, Mike Rinder? The systemic institutional abuse of kids. Have you invalidated any of that? On the question, has a withhold been missed? Is there anything you're being careful of? Are you being careful of anything, Mike Rinder? Are you sanitizing anything? Are you carefully not talking about something? On the question, has a withhold been missed, Mike Rinder? Is there anything that has been nearly found out? On the question, has a withhold been missed, Mike Rinder? Is there anything you are failing to reveal? Anything at all that you're failing to reveal to your audience, to your community that you did build out to yourself? You got 40 plus subs. What are you failing to reveal to your community? On the question, has a withhold been missed, Mike Rinder? Is there anything you're being anxious about? Anything you're just having a little anxiety over and being like, oh, you know what? This one will be revealed next lifetime. Anything like that going on? On the question, has a withhold been missed? Is there anything you're protesting? Anything, oh, this wasn't my fault. I don't have a withhold. This was David's problem. Anything like that? Anything you protested? On the question, has a withhold been missed, Mike Rinder? Has anything been abandoned? Have you abandoned any children behind in that hotel? Have you abandoned any sort of facts that you are, you know, whitewashing? Anything like that? On the question, has a withhold been missed, Mike Rinder? Is there anything that has been misunderstood? Anything? Can you be in Scientology and not pay a dime or work for them? I mean, those are the two choices you have, you guys. You either are paying to be a paid member of those hotels, in which case they treat you like a royalty paying member that, you know, they really go through lengths to make sure you're never inconvenienced. Or on the other side, then you get treated like a slave, but then you're getting the courses for free. But remember, you still have to sign that you're going to pay in case you ever break your billion-year contract. Love it. Thank you so much for fighting for the children with All the Way Up. I'll be joining next LA trip. Awesome. Love it. Can't wait to meet you there. Thank you, Artsy Tartsy. Thank you so much. Hawkeye fan, using donated aftermath money to pay for Rinder's legal statement seems corrupt AF. Both acronyms apply. Very good point, Hawkeye fan. Very good point. I mean, and again, it's like, how comfortable for you, Mike Rinder, to be using that money raised by this community? I mean, you have no shame? Apparently not. I totally agree. Escaping the cultiverse. I can't understand why the so-called attorney told Rabbit to share the letter in its entirety. I do not understand. I mean, literally, Helen, like, we don't understand. I mean, we thought we respected this attorney, and yes, I went hard on him today, you guys, because I was shocked. I was literally shocked to see his name on that letter, advocating on behalf of the moral integrity of Mike Rinder. Imagine, like, the confusion that is in our brain brewing as this man that we, I mean, this is how we've been this whole time, you guys. We're like, well, I mean, can't really go after the attorneys because, nobody owes us nothing. So, if they don't want to help us, they don't want to help us. I mean, I had that conversation with him. Then I was impressed. He didn't want to help. I mean, attorneys have that right. I didn't know that when I first got out, you guys. I mean, that's why all these kids that leave, they're like, oh, no attorney has to help anybody. They have their own reasons why they can take a case or not take a case, because our pain is just looked at as a commodity to make money. Unfortunately, that's how civil law works. It is what it is. I mean, I get it. Nobody can just come and spend all this time on you if they're not going to get a shred of reward. But we're not doing it for the reward. And that's why I keep saying that we don't give an F about a civil lawsuit. Like, we need this criminal matter to be taken seriously and not just wishy-washy, washed out. Vanessa Lee, the impact of your voice will live forever. Well, thank you, Vanessa. And the impact of all of y'all's advocacy and supporting us will also live forever, you guys, because that is what helps victim not get ensnared like this. If people are held accountable for their actions, if people are literally brought up and held accountable, it sends a message to all the other perpetrators that are, in the background scheming and thinking, oh, look what I could do. Oh, do you really want to be doing that? Think again, because, now that we are showing even all of you guys that have been through your own abuse and your own trauma, that yes, if you can get in front of a microphone and raise awareness and have a community of concerned taxpayers and citizens united for the right cause, then it's worth it. And your voice is worth it. And all of these perpetrators took away our power from us. But the power is something that, the trauma did that to us. And now we're taking our power back. And all of you are helping so much in that regard. Oh no, Nora. Some parents did sign over legal guardianship of their children to the Sea Org and Sea Org members. Yeah. That's right, Nora. They pawned us off, and the whole pitch was that, we really were going to be saving a world, you guys, but we weren't saving anything. We were literally being pawns in a scheme that we were never in any way, shape, or form capable of consenting. And that's really the bottom line. Cuddly Floofage. Scotland calling love to you and Michael. Rinder is an insult. Claire Army, all AF idiots. Time to ask for finances of the AF. Will always stand with you guys. Lots of bones in Rinder's closet. Proud dog and fleas and love. That's right, you guys. I mean, imagine that they thought they were going to insult us with dogs, and literally we're all like animal lovers. That's really not a big insult, to be honest. Blow Drill, you speak the truth and will be backed up 100%. Thank you, Blow Drill. Shout out to you too. Another survivor, another child that was born in Scientology, another child that was horrifically abused, another child that was dumped as roadkill to fend for himself, ending up homeless and no one giving an F, and I guess he just deserved it all, because where's anybody speaking on his behalf? So thank you for being here, Blood Drill, because we have your back as well. And we all didn't deserve what was done to us. Do you know if it was guardianship or delegation of parental rights, or at least in my state, the former requires a court petition and the letter needs to be renewed annually? We're definitely not renewing anything there, you guys. Literally, by the time, think about this, right? By the time you're literally stuck in those hotels, nobody gives an F. You don't exist in the society. You're never going to end up in any mandated reporter's office if they can prevent it. You're never going to end up, in any police department, as if that's even going to help anybody, as shown by anybody. So I don't know what type of paperwork was signed between my parents and these people. I literally have no idea. But whatever they did sign is extremely sus AF. We need to protest Sacramento and the Attorney General's office in Florida. Yes, Amy, you're right. We do need to do that too. We literally need to go to the people that are supposedly wanting to enforce a law. He's been deleting messages for unknown reasons. Well, you know what, you guys? Yeah, I mean, it's all part of the laundering of image. These people are just that. Image launderers service. You wishy-washy, put that, you position, you spin, and then all of a sudden you come in a magazine, you show a smiley face, and Elizabeth Moss is someone that America really needs to go see at a Jimmy Kimmel show. Serge, you're opening the eyes of exes like me. This is not easy, and it's starting to feel like more betrayal. Well, thank you, Escaping the Cultiverse. And again, this is a journey where we all get to reconcile the facts, and betrayal blindness, which is something that we did learn in therapy, is actually a thing. You guys, betrayal blindness is what you develop as a result of all of this dysfunction. Like, you cannot see the facts on their face because what type of child wants to wake up to the fact that that their parents put him in harm's way? It's like, it's not something that any child can grapple with. Like, we were all under the impression that our parents loved us a lot and that we were so special to be inside of these hotels, and aren't we so part of the elite whatever in the hell pitch? And it's like the day of reckoning comes when you realize that no, it was all dysfunction and horrendous, and that we didn't deserve it. And then the real pain comes, because when we were living with the lie, at least we were anesthetized to a degree, disassociated AF. But now that we see the facts, we can all start reconciling and having supportive communities that understand where we're coming from, and being believed is all part of our healing journey. Because again, predators and abusers inside of these hotels wanted us to think that we deserved it all. And in this side of this flip coin, we're saying, no, we didn't deserve it. And no other child does. And by the way, the Constitution was written to abolish slavery. So why in the hell is L. Ron Hubbard being allowed to have proteges that can really go and say that their right is to do whatever in the hell they want to a minor who cannot consent? That's exactly what we're pushing back on. So, Cultiverse, we see you, and we appreciate the fact that, you can evolve. Evolving requires you understanding what in the hell happened. The facts matter. And yes, it's not digestible, but L. Ron Hubbard, you guys, did teach us this one line The one thing man can and won't confront is evil. So imagine how disgustingly evil he and his proteges were. And they're all betting on the fact that no one's going to want to confront that. That everyone's going to go with the rose-colored glasses and go, we were just like the Jehovah's, you guys. Oh, yeah, look, we were just like these ones, you guys. You were not like nobody else, Mike Rinder. The technology, your disgusting daddy figure propped up, it's on a league of its literal own. So stop trying to ensnare other religions as if they have the same exact problem. All of them have a problem of their own. What in the hell you did in those hotels, no one else does, guaranteed. Thank you so much, Flea Factory. I love your new name. You know what? Fleas, whatever in the hell we want to be called, call us. Call us. Bring it on. We don't care. Call us whatever in the hell. Like, abuse power. Do whatever type of shitty tactic you want to do. You're never going to win. You thought you were winning this whole time. Well, the facts and the law are not on your side. So good luck really sanitizing your image today, Mike Rinder. Good luck with that. Yep. Over-medicating foster children in psych hospitals is a huge problem. CCHR's involvement is ultimately bad for that cause as well. Yeah, I mean, CCHR is just a front group, you guys. It's all that pitch that Mike Rinder put in there to really say, oh, yeah, look, we're doing so much for the community. CCHR, Criminon, we really care about Criminon. Criminals, you guys, these people didn't give an F about criminals. Literally, advocacy for criminals, like, that's all it took for the IRS to go, oh, okay, you're going to really help us with the criminals in the jails? Okay. Thank you, Flea Factory. Power to survivors. Always power to survivors, you guys. That's what this is about. This journey is about reconciling the truth, empowering survivors, standing behind Miriam and saying no. Where in the hell is that affidavit? Scientology attorneys have been writing crisis management with, you know, really going with this whole thing of, oh, write an affidavit and then that's all it's going to take for all of us to clear our name. Well, attorneys of Scientology, if your clients are writing fake AF affidavits, what in the literal hell? And we would know what type of fake affidavits we were made to write inside of these hotels. Because every time y'all wanted to do a little quick crisis management, right, Mike Rinder? Everyone write a fake affidavit. If we get 20 of them that are fake, then we win. Imagine that that's how they really did see the truth on how to crisis manage things. When a child wanted to, oh, okay, well, leave the hotel, but just write this quick affidavit that whatever problem you were having, it's all due to you. And yeah, believe it or not, kids would just sign, oh, due to me being so pathetic and disgusting, I really wanted to, and nothing in this hotel that they did to me was a reason for that. So, okay. And yeah, kids were made to sign affidavits, you know, the Jane Doe's in the Danny Masterson case, all the people that were going to the parties, all of a sudden, gather everyone. Let's really write a bunch of fake affidavits because the LAPD, idiots that they are, all of a sudden got to see 20 affidavits and go, oh, well, okay, I guess with the amazing, impeccable, you know, track record of these people being so credible, then I'm sure that all of this is correct and we don't have to do anything else. If any of this happened in Canada, there's no statute of limitations with SA. Well, you know what? Florida feels different, you guys. Florida feels like all manner of kids can be essayed and all manner of, you know, courts can be there to save their literal asses. And as if Florida doesn't have a problem with that, Florida, y'all are the ones that had Jeffrey and Jelaine running that scheme. And now Florida is the host of the biggest hotel, disgusting hotel, doing this to minors on a level of 100 billion X than idiot Jeffrey and stupid ass corrupt AF Ghislaine, who is rotting in jail, you guys. One woman is rotting in jail. So shout out to the great criminal investigations of this Department of Justice that always finds a reason to not impose a shred of justice. And they don't like to be told how to do it because they really do practice prosecutorial discretion. So that's great. That's great, Department of Justice. Your discretion on prosecuting disgusting child traffickers is really being called out because y'all can be more pathetic or disgusting. Cashing checks. Let's really pay all our attorneys a lot of money at the Department of Justice to really be colleagues of Monique. Monique worked at the Department of Justice, you guys. She had connections there, right, Monique? Isn't that on your little wiki page that you were there at the Department of Justice, or is that not true? Is that just fake news? Thank you, Katie Gill. We get a grunt from a pig. I mean, even calling these people pigs is an insult, you guys, because pigs don't abuse their offspring full knowing. Thank you. Thank you, Mena. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Pipa. Barbie World, search your work constantly. Please self-care and love and new you. Thank you, Barbie World. Yeah, self-care. Self-care, you guys, is we dance, we do yoga, we try anything we can, and just remember that, recovery is a daily commitment. Every day we have to work on ourselves to put everything in perspective. But, growth is also uncomfortable, and we are all growing together as we're going through this right now. And that is actually something very, very good, that we're all actually growing, going through this very uncomfortable thing. Guaranteed, we're not going to have to be speaking about this 5 years from now or 3 years from now, you guys. Like, once we've said it, it's like, what else? What else is there to be said? It's like, we're not going to just regurgitate things ad nauseum. If two Sea Org members have a baby, is the baby automatically Sea Org? No, a girl. They usually would get either told to shh the baby, or they used to do that. They used to be able to have the kids, and then they had a cadet org. But then they went with, like, women should go shh the kid, even if they wanted to have it. So it was a forced situation. And if not, if they still refused, then they would send them to another organization that wasn't Sea Org. So that's kind of how it went there. Thank you, Teres. Thank you, Thunderclap. Carrie May. Thank you, Philosophy. Marlene. Thunderclap. It's really time for survivors to lawyer up and get evidence, testimony, eyewitnesses together. Yeah, and we do have that, Thunderclap. We have the lawyers. They've spoken to us. They filed a federal child trafficking lawsuit based on their I guess not prosecutorial, because they're not prosecutors, but based on their own legal discretions, based on their own business models, based on their own understanding of how statutes could be interpreted in this country, based on the fact that, the courts have really sided with Scientology's arbitration agreements, including but not limited to children being cited to make these agreements, like Valerie Haney's case, where she was made to go and get abused for days and take it for days. So lawyers are the literal monsters of the situationship, because had it not been for lawyers literally getting behind L. Ron Hubbard and pitching him as a convicted, indicted felon that he was, but then all of a sudden he's an American-bred god. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of how it goes. So What rose water are you spraying? Just rose water from I think I got this at Whole Foods, you guys. Heritage Store. Refreshing facial mist, you know. So calming and like relaxing, and it's good. It's very good to do this while we talk about this stuff. So if you guys want to get yourself some rose water every once in a while, just spray it up, and grounding energy, and reminder that we are on the flip side and we are exactly where we need to be. Oh my God, you guys did so many super chats. Thank you so much. Here's 5 more for the F Scientology fun. Whoop, whoop. You're doing Lord's work, Serge. Keep going, and we're helping people without a voice. Thank you, Mike. Well, all of you are doing the work with us, you guys. This work is being done due to y'all's support. When we didn't have support, we couldn't do the job, but we're doing the job now. Phoenix, do we have a PayPal or Cash App? I have a Venmo, you guys. I guess I have to set up Cash App and PayPals, but I never really intended to get donations, but I do appreciate y'all's support, and we will put all of this to continue to fight this cause. So honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate it. Thank you, SB Stella. I'll check it out. Thank you for your email. First, we're called keyboard warriors, and now we're fleas. Exactly, you guys. Mike, is it time for apologize for your sins and make amends? Exactly. You know how to make amends, Mike Rinder. They did teach you that. Your daddy figure did tell you to make amends. So now make some amends. Make the amends where they count, not anywhere else. Well, thank you guys for holding all this space and having this important conversation and contextualization. We'll all be holding space for Miriam and ensuring that she's heard, and she does have receipts. So don't you worry about it. None of us that have been through this experience are getting out thinking that we can just blab our mouth and all of a sudden people will care. We know that we have to have receipts. We know that we can have to contextualize things. So make sure that you support her, and we're all here for each other, and we're all here in support of justice and power to survivors. So I really want to thank all of you who have stayed with us for these long marathons that we're having to do. We ran our marathon for 3 hours and 27 minutes. Imagine that, you guys. So I really do appreciate all of your support. So please subscribe, like, share. Let's get the word out. Let's get more people understanding what in the hell. Let's continue to ask, questions. Questions are allowed. Per the Constitution, we are allowed to ask them. So let's all continue to empower survivors and tell all survivors that are out there that if you have questions, you are allowed to ask them. And if you're getting literally squashed, then communities will support you for whatever that is worth. So we really thank you all, and we'll see you really, really soon. Bye.